glad to also debut in this tournament for commentary with you tonight.
I'm curious to see what our randomized weapon is going to be this time.
I think we always hope for a not bomb start. That is at least what I always hope for. A fire rod or a hammer is always a really good start with the uncle, but we're going to see.
Fire rod, basically anything but bombs, and I'd say, what's that other one? Bombs and Burna. Those are both really bad.
Yeah, I would agree. Those are two very difficult items to start with, but Dunham is going ahead and getting starting as his Pokedude. The uncle assures them both that he's got this covered, but I have a feeling that's not the case.
And we're getting the Cane of Samaria for our weapon today. Cane isn't too bad. You know, it's surprising how many cane blocks you can actually create with a full bar of magic, and also at the same time just the reusability of it. So like one single block, you can pick it back up and toss it at the enemies again and do a few extra hits of damage. So
looks like we also got the hook shot early on, which is going to be a really useful weapon, especially to get the precision of those block attacks.
Wait, was that in the secret passageway, hook shot?
Yes.
Oh, well, dang, nice. See, now, with hookshot in hand, this would have been a nice seed to have bombs as your starting weapon. So you could always stun him with the hookshot, and then bomb him a couple times.
Yeah, the hookshot definitely takes the sting out of a bomb starting seed, and I think it'll definitely aid both these runners as they move forward here, because they have time now to line up any of those Cane of Samaria shots.
Yeah, with hookshot in hand as well, you can see that Big 20 is our stun prize today, which is actually quite ridiculously useful, especially early routing, getting enough rupees for bombs in Kakariko, and then of course for Zora eventually. Not exactly sure what Pokedude is looking for. I think he might be trying to farm some bombs off the guards at the beginning.
But it's interesting, not starting with bombs, you quickly would like bombs as you make your way through the back of the escape, so you can blow open the bombable wall toward the back of the escape run. So I would agree with you that Pokedude was probably looking for some bombs to do that, but perhaps he'll find it later on in the escape on some enemies. Dunham is showing some pretty neat skill there with the Cane of Samaria. He was playing a little catch with the guard and really took care of him pretty handily with the Cane of Samaria.
Yeah, nice little combination there of pot strats and Cane of Samaria.
All right, well, Dunham has saved the princess for now and is making his way to the sewers, where he's going to be dropping Zelda off at the sanctuary for temporary safekeeping.
Yeah, and of course, by the time you get through escape, you want to try and get at least one bomb so you can get the 3 chests in the back. It's a little bit harder when all you have is Cane of Samaria, but wait, does the hookshot? I don't remember. Does the hookshot kill rats or stun them? I feel like they kill them. Could be wrong.
I think in either case, we're gonna perhaps find out not too distant future here.
Yeah, there we go. So hookshot, actually a lot more viable than we thought. Also grabbing a full magic refill too. And getting that one bomb, and there's more bombs along the way, so racers can stop farming if they so choose.
So that will put both of the runners in good chance to kind of take care of all the business here at once, because the unfortunate piece is that once you leave the escape, sometimes you tend to forget the back of escape, so that'll be good that they can kind of take care of it all one shot.
Bombos, 50 rupees, 10 arrows. Not too great, but not too bad. We might be needing that Bombos medallion for later use, whether it's to get inside one of the 2 dungeons, Misery Mire or T-Rock, or if that's going to be our way of getting through Ice Palace sometime in the future. Lots of times, I see Bombos early, I think Fire Rod, Ice Palace.
Yeah, and you also find that well, if you get half magic, it's really handy when you hit Ice Palace, and because it frees up, especially have Fire Rod as well, it frees up some energy to take care of Cold Stare.
All right, with 90 rupees in hand and 3 bombs already, I can't imagine Dunham not going straight to Kakariko. Getting a map check in real quick, we got 2 pendant dungeons in the Light World. You know what that means? Good chance of an egg, or of a pedestal seed. Tower of Hera and Desert Palace being a pendant, and Eastern Palace just being a crystal. So, as far as we know, we'll definitely need to kill Armos Knights at some point.
Definitely will be interesting here to see what Dunham finds at Kakariko Village after he does some checks in Lost Woods and Aghanim Cave, and certainly will point him in the direction that he will be going next. So we'll see in just a moment where perhaps this will lead him.
Nice little find, 10 arrows from the little bush crab. I don't know if he got an extra capacity upgrade, but already at 30 arrows is a pretty safe place to be. What do we got? Lumberjack Cave, just a piece of heart, so we will not be getting that. And as far as we know, at this point, the Aga Tower aren't required, but things can easily change.
Absolutely. So as Dunham goes into the Lost Woods, he's going to leave just a little bit of love on that ledge as Pokedude is over on the left side, making his way through the back of Escape, finding the swirly coin, and making his way to drop Zelda off at the Sanctuary.
Lost Woods holding nothing but an arrow capacity upgrade and a heart container. We got plenty of chests coming up down here in Kakariko. Let's see if we can find a little bit more progression. We're not really holding that many items as of now, but I could easily see a glove and maybe a lantern, or even just a flute, which would give us access to Death Mountain and East Death Mountain instantly. A sword would be nice too.
Absolutely, and of course the runners are going to start looking for their Dark World entry, the Moon Pearl, the hammer, the gloves, anything like that can start to point them in the direction of the Dark World and point them away from a direction of an Aghanim Seed. But if they find the cape or Master Sword, then they're going to start to sweat it just a little bit, I have a feeling. But we find our gloves, so that is a good point in the right direction.
Now, with glove and hookshot in hand, let's say you get through all of Kakariko and you don't find anything. You don't even find the lamp. Do you still consider sequence breaking up Death Mountain, or you keep continuing down the South Shore route and checking the dam and Mini Moldorn Cave?
You know, you always run the risk when you sequence break of throwing yourself off the logic and off track and perhaps into confusion later. But Personally, I would probably go down to the South Shore, and then if I found nothing, I would go into Death Mountain, because you do have a good combination of chests up there. I think you have 6 or 7, if I remember correctly. So that's what I would probably do.
Wow, a lot of bomb capacity upgrades in Bomb of the Well. Let's see what the other 3 chests hold. A heart piece. A mushroom. Arrow capacity upgrade. It's a very interesting Kakariko thus far.
Now here's the question. Do you go ahead and take care of the fetch quest and then route in Zora? I know you don't have the 500 yet and even less now, but do you do that hoping to perhaps run across some more rupees to route in Zora? That's the question.
Mushroom to Zora? I don't know if I've ever seen that route. A lot of people like to put off Zora until they can do all the fake flipper stuff later on. But I can easily see someone doing Mushroom really right away after Kakariko if they don't find anything else. And of course, one of my favorite things to do if you get early Mushroom is setting up the nice little fake flipper right south of Link's house to get you into the whirlpool. That takes you right outside of like one screen over from Witch's Hut. Alright, so other than a glove and a mushroom, that's all we got going for us in Kakariko. See if we're going to be needing that boots anytime soon. And we're going to go check out the maze race before heading off somewhere else. Alright, well, boots are not required yet, so plenty of time left.
So Kakariko, all told, didn't hold a whole lot for runners as they move forward, and however the race game does.
That's a nice find. There's that Moon Pearl. So we are 1 item away from Dark World access. But at this point, would you really want to go into the Dark World with 5 hearts, no sword, green mail? It seems a little dangerous.
Oh, it's a terrifying prospect. And so both runners must be thinking that a little bit in the back of their head that if this seed's starting to point me into the Dark World this early, it's going to be a bit of a slog through.
You know, all it takes is like a hype cave that has 2 sword upgrades and blue mail, and all of a sudden you're in business.
Well, it does look like Dunham's going to make this play for the South Shore Mini Moldarm Cave, and perhaps even doing Fake Flipper or Ice Rod Cable, so we'll see what he ends up doing.
It seems like the natural progression. Putting off Agnes Cave to go try and just focus on chest efficiency and getting as many items as you possibly can. And let's see what we got in the dam. Just another arrow capacity upgrade. Pokedude going out of his way to grab a couple extra bombs, so he's going to be sitting at 10 more bombs than Dunham.
Never a bad idea to grab those extra bombs. I've seen a lot of times in B29 just running out of bombs, and then of course they're not there when you need them, and it's pretty frustrating. So not a bad play to get those extra bombs.
Yeah, he's got plenty of bomb capacity upgrades, so he could. I'd say he's already at like 25, 30. Well, and there's some more bombs in the dam. Of course, by making that purchase, he's going to have to go the extra mile to make sure he has enough rupees for Zora. But, surprisingly, he's really not that far off from where Dunham is. But Dunham's got to be careful down to a single heart. A fall or a little kiss from a Mini Moldarm in this cave could be his demise.
Those crabs really pack a punch when you're in green mail. I believe if it's 2 hearts, and let me tell you, they're out for blood and they follow you.
Yeah, they're not very friendly. Nice little heart drop there to put him back up to 3. Yeah, I found that when trying to hookshot those Mini Moldarms when you're standing, shooting left and right is a lot harder than just going off to the side and shooting up at them. But finds 300 rupees, so that's our Zora money right there. And with Moon Pearl in hand, he could set up, do all the fake flipper stuff, including the water walking to check Waterfall Cave, and even finishing out the route at Zora himself.
Definitely think that's the place to make. You know, you have a couple chests to pick up, and Zora taking care of that, which can be quite out of the way later. So, you know, I have a feeling we're going to see Dunham do that fake flipper, or perhaps do Ice Rod Cave and then come back, which actually looks like what he is doing.
Ooh, this little hook shot to get away from those crabs. Oh, but one of them caught up to him. Oh, and one more again. Oh, he's down to 2 hearts. Just gotta have to be careful here.
That was a tough sequence of events there. Double crab hit and a bomb. That was tough, but still going. Dunham's still going. About to see what's in the Ice Rod Cave, which is the entry to the Dark World.
There are the bits. All right, well, moment of truth. Do you go to Sahasrara Eastern? Do you sequence break up Death Mountain? Because now, if you want to, he could do all of East Death Mountain. The only things he wouldn't be able to get would be Tahara, and of course anything that's mirror blocked. But you know, Hookshot Cave, Super Bunny Cave, Paradox Cave, Spiral Cave. It's all on the table if he feels like sequence breaking. But he's already about to sequence break with his fake flipper as soon as he sets it up, so I can see him doing that as well.
Not a bad play to route this out of the way, get this out of the way, and then route in the highly chest-dense area of Death Mountain and Dark Death Mountain. So I don't disagree with this play. I think it's a good play from Dunham. Just take care of these water items early, and he could get very lucky and get something that he's going to need for progression.
Checking what's on Lake Hylia Island, we have the Ether Medallion, which we don't know if that's required yet or not. But with 2 Pendant Dungeons in the Light World, there's a good chance that both Misery Mire and T-Rock are required. And there's also a good chance that each one of them are going to require a different medallion.
It's good knowledge to have for later, especially when routing in Ice Palace, taking care of that island on your way there. So that's good knowledge to have for Dunham. It looks like Pokedude on the left is also making his way to do either Fake Flipper or Ice Rod Cave and Fake Flipper.
Ooh, we got a Fake Flipper leading to the Powder, which actually is pretty nice for if you're about to make your way into the Dark World, having that extra little safety. I have a little bit of trouble. So this little Fake Flipper setup is there's like a particular pixel lineup, and that was terrifying. All right, so the one thing you don't want to do is that if you find the pixel that you need to, if you walk to the right, when you find that pixel, then you hop in the water and go, and then you set up the Fake Flipper. If you walk towards, like you go above it and walk down towards it and hop off facing down, there is a slight chance that you'll actually screen transition first, then hit the water, and then soft lock you. So that was it was a little close. That was a little scary, but we're good.
About to see what's in the waterfall here, the waterfall cave, and hopefully something good for Dunham's efforts to Fake Flipper. We have a big old 20, and we have just a little bit of love. So I would assume at this point, just taking a look at his rupee count, he's going to go ahead and get Zora out of the way and take a look at what's on Zora's ledge, which is, again, good knowledge to have.
And Pokedude's going right for Dark World. We've got Village of Outcasts coming up. I wonder if he's going to opt to go check what's at, Skull Woods. He doesn't have a sword, doesn't have a fire rod. You can only check the front half. And that middle chest, well, I mean, I guess he could check the one in the way back, but it seems a little out of the way. Only bombs on the ledge at Zora, so good knowledge. You don't have to come back there and get that later. And it does look like Pokedude is going to be going for the Skull Woods check.
And we have what's going to see what Zora's selling today, which is a big 20. Not a great deal in my eyes.
No, not at all. So at the same time, a little bit of time lost checking those stuff and not finding really anything. But if his opponent goes back and checks Zora later, then everything's good for Dunham.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's nice to get those ones out of the way, too.
So we have quite the route divergence right now. We have Dunham looking like he is... looks like he might be dropping off that mushroom while Pokedude's taking care of Skullwoods.
Yeah, I was curious to see if he was actually heading to Sahasrara, maybe do an Eastern Palace check. But switching back to go check the mushroom, just to get out of the way. Nothing so far in Skull Woods. Just 2 small keys and the big key, so Pokedude will be able to check the big chest. And opting to go ahead and take the back route, the vanilla route.
All right, let's see what the witch is cooking up today in her hut. And a bug net.
A bug net, how very useful. And the book in Skull Woods. All right, well. At this point in time, that doesn't really do anything for us, except gets you into Desert Palace, and unless you check the pedestal, that's about it. Well, looks like Dunham is actually going to go check Sahasrara's hut. Let's see if he does decide to do Eastern Palace. It's one of those places that if you don't do it right now, you're not going to be doing it anytime soon. And when it's in that Sphere 1 location, the 0 requirements to get to location, sometimes it's a risk to put it off until later. But it's a time save if there ends up being nothing there and you don't do it. Until you get the bow.
Right, and again, both runners, I mean, not that the sequence break really has gotten anything for Dunham, but you have to always be conscious that the sequence breaks you do take, if they start to take you a little bit toward a direction, it may take you further away from the intended direction, the intended logic later.
Oh man, Pokedude almost at the chest, but taking a little kiss from those little blades, little bouncing spikes. Fortunately, with that Cane of Samari, he's going to be able to get through this room quickly, not having to worry about the Gibdos or pushing the statue or anything like that. And it does look like Dunham's going to go ahead and hop into Eastern Palace. There are potentially 3 items in this dungeon, depending on how it's laid out. And at this rate, he's likely to also do the dark rooms in here, just to go ahead and check that last chest.
Right, and all things considered, it's not so bad to double dip Eastern Palace because once you get the big key and take care of all the sort of the outskirt locations, the dark rooms, the vanilla big key chest, it's good to. It's not a bad or difficult thing to, or time-consuming thing to jump back in here later on.
It looks like Pokedude's head down into Village of Outcasts. Now, if you're leaving Skull Woods, but you have to go back to it, would you put off checking Bumper Cave just to see what's on the ledge? And do it later, the next time you go back to Skull Woods, or just go ahead and knock it out of the way?
I think the one thing that sort of always draws me toward Bumper Ledge is getting the cape. If I don't get the cape, I don't really feel like the game's telling me to move in that direction, so I put it off until it sort of pushes me in that direction. But I also could see why people would go ahead and check that earlier rather than later.
Yeah, one of the more obnoxious things is like you put it off intentionally and then you find the cape in Village of Outcasts. You're like, oh, come on. If I just checked that, I would have known.
So it seemed like we may have missed a map check or Sahasrara telling us where the green pendant was. Chad saying the green pendant is Ice Palace.
All right, nothing else so far in Eastern Palace. Cane of Burna is nice. And we do have a map check, and we see, for the first time seeing it, right now, Ice Palace having that green pendant. 5 and 6 at Misery Mire and Swamp Palace. But it looks like, I believe, a vanilla... I don't know if I saw Dunham pick up the big key yet.
Now, the interesting thing about these dark rooms in Eastern Palace is they can be quite tricky to navigate when you don't have a sword or boomerang or something to navigate them. But Dunham's doing a very nice job with his hook shot, so kudos to Dunham on navigating this dark room with that.
Yeah, sometimes in these kind of situations, especially if I'm doing like Death Mountain Dark Room, I'll if I have Cane of Samaria, sometimes I'll drop a block and just carry that, because then you can kind of have a better idea of exactly where you are without having to match the hook shot. Because every time you use the hook shot, you stop. Like, you stop in place for a little bit. So. And Dunham having a little bit of trouble setting up this little iframe. So basically what you want to do is you want to run into an enemy to set up iframes so you can get on top of the pot where the antifair is circling it, and then you can pick up the pot, hit the switch without taking any extra damage, but opting to go ahead and clear all the enemies out. Another option would have been using Cane of Burna. Just turn on Cane of Burna, and then boom, just start walking. Walk, pick up the pot. Good to go. And unfortunate death from Pokedude on his way to Hype Cave, so... But at the same time, you know, he's stuck with the dwarf, and now he can go ahead and just, like, turn him in and get it on, go on his merry way.
Right, not a huge time loss for Pokedude. Taking the frog for the World Tour kind of got cut short, but hopefully the Smiths are going to have something good for him as a consolation prize.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is when you don't have the hammer, the only way to get to Hype Cave is traveling all the way down from Village of Outcasts. So, and it looks like Dunham is really all about that Light World 100% clearing. He's actually going to go all the way over to check Agata's Cave and maybe see what's on the desert ledge. Personally, I don't know if this is like the best option at this point, but if this has like the hammer, then Dunham's a legend right there, just like that.
Absolutely agree. If this holds something for progression, Dunham's going to be very happy. But, you know, you wonder, you know, I guess, where do you go from here finding nothing? Do you go into the Dark World? Do you sequence break up to Death Mountain? You know, it's certainly a lot of options. And Big 20 is what Dunham is met with at Agata's Cave. So he's going to be considering those options.
Yeah, the thing is, if you can get Dark World access and put off checking Agata's Cave, you might be able to come back later, like when you get the book, and do Desert Palace, which is a pendant, or check Desert Palace, and then finish that off by popping into Agata's Cave real quick. Also, not checking what's on the desert ledge while he was over there, so not getting that little bit of extra information.
Pokedude looks like he's going to do the dig game and then perhaps take another shot at Hype Cave. Hopefully it is very hype for him, but remains to be seen. Hasn't been very hype lately, so I'm hoping for him it is.
The shovel. Are you kidding me? All right. Digging up a shovel. That's the perfect outcome, in my opinion.
Very, very meta of you, Link to the Past. Very meta of you. Digging up a shovel. Nice work.
It'd only be better if you already had the mirror, so we could go ahead and just mirror, check shovel spot, and then keep going. Curious to see what he's choosing to do now. Probably grabbing purple chest at this point.
Looks like he's going to take a second shot at that World Tour just this time with the purple chest. Probably stop over at Hype Cave, and then probably has to do a save a quit from there to drop off that purple chest.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, is because of how these players have to route Hype Cave, that death right outside of Hype Cave was particularly unfortunate. A lot of times you'll see players will, for this route, they'll go down, they'll check digging game, then they'll grab the frog, since you can't have a follower when you do the digging game. So then they'll grab the frog and then go to Hype Cave and then save and quit out of there. And Dunham, with the debated dive into Beefstown, Gonna go ahead and grab the frog and head down to Hype Cave. So, nobody wants to do Digging Game the first time. Even when they have the mitts.
So slowly but surely, both these runners are starting to converge in their paths just a little bit, as both are heading toward Hype Cave. This time, however, they have two followers that are just a bit different.
30 minutes in, or are we going to get our first sword coming up? Another bomb capacity upgrade. I think we've got plenty of those. A heart container, 50 rupees, a boomerang, and a red rupee. All right, so that means that... Huh. What does that mean? Thieves Town has to be our answer?
I guess they're going to have to, looks like, double dip Thieves Town. And interestingly enough, Dunham, I don't think, opted to check Hype Cave, instead saving and quitting. So fortunately for him, not much to be found, but unfortunately that's going to stick in the back of his head. That's something that he should have checked.
Yeah, he's save and quit right after checking Stump Kid. That's a new one. And I'm always fascinated by all these different routing options. Yeah, I just saving and quitting with the frog and purple chest is just, I hate it. I wish we could go back to when that wasn't a thing. Back in the day. 10 arrows and the mirror! Wow, that's a really nice purple chest item.
Alright, so that second world tour was well worth it for Pokedude. It looks like he's going to just route an Agonist Cave as well while he's already here, which is not a bad idea at all.
What if he's going to choose to stop inside Desert Palace as well? Mirror, that gets us 2 more extra checks. We can check Graveyard Ledge, we can check Circle of Bushes. But if you really want to, that sequence break up to Death Mountain looks even more spicy at this point.
Well, and if I'm naming it correctly, and certainly people in chat will correct me if I'm not, but Cave 45, I believe that's what it's called, that's also now a checkable location.
Yeah, Circle of Bushes. That's what I call it. Graveyard Circle of Bushes.
I like that one better.
Dunham taking some good hard notes on these dungeons. I've seen and heard of a few horror stories of people mismarking crystals and completing a dungeon thinking it's a crystal only to receive a pendant, so it's always good to be extra sure that you write down the right things. I don't think I'll ever not use a tracker when I play Rando. It's so essential to my happiness and well-being.
Oh, absolutely. And today was the first time I didn't use a tracker, and it was a lot of mental gymnastics. And the one that I always tend to mismark is Landmolus and a Moldorm, but I suppose I can understand why, both being sort of worm-like creatures.
Yeah, I'd say so. Ooh, Fire Rod. That doesn't give us anything immediately unless that first chest in Skull Woods has something. But if we get a Fire Rod and a sword in here, then that opens up Mothula as an option. Oh, and just a map. So that 100% means that Desert Palace is boots locked, but it's a pendant dungeon, so we don't necessarily need to clear it.
Right, and Pokedude, of course, went in there to double-check that indeed that was the case. I wonder if he's going to go down now and grab that heart piece on ledge, because again, this early with green mail, it's never a bad play to get as many hearts as you can, especially when you're going into that dark world.
I'm curious to see if... Oh yeah, he is the one. Okay. Grab that heart piece. I kind of want him to steal a key, just to check the 2 chests on the right, which is a crazy thing to do, and he might actually be doing it. It's a bit safer of an option to do it when it's a pendant dungeon, since you know you don't need to actually beat the dungeon. So I like this play. He's going to be able to check those 2 chests on the right. One of them is going to be the item. One of them is, and then the other one's either going to be an item or it's going to be the compass.
Meanwhile, we have Dunham dipping ever deeper into Thieves Town. I'm wondering if he's going to go ahead and and take it all the way to blind, because with the Canis Maria, he can, in fact, be blind, but it's certainly a challenge, and with Green Mail and a lower heart count, it's even more of a challenge.
Yeah, that's the thing, is he has the ability to defeat blind with either Canis Maria or Caverna. Both of them work. He's going to need a little bit more magic. Yeah, it's a kind of scary dungeon to go in without a sword. 50 rupees, that's probably not what Pokedude's wanting to see.
Alright, so Dunham got a bottle, which is not bad. Bottle with a B in it, not that it's going to help him with blind, but you at this point, well, without the mirror, it's a little bit more costly in terms of time, but you'll be able to check Sick Kid eventually.
Wow, just like that, Pokedude gets both items, unfortunately both of them being pretty useless. But at the same time, you know, he gets that information out of the way, so later on the run, he knows he doesn't have to go in a desert at all. Oh man, and Dunham's got to be extra careful here. Just manages to powder that antifair and get some health back up. Alright, moment of truth. If Dunham gets a small key, then that tells him that that big chest might have an item in it. If he doesn't get a small key here, then the big chest is going to hold the small key. And so going in here was a good idea, not needing hammer at all. It's one of those risky plays to make, because, like, you don't want to... Wow, that was an unfortunate series of events there. Those little horse heads are awful. Oh, and he loses blind and he has to go all the way back down there to get blind again. Oh, that's so costly.
Yeah, he's an open right on out of there, and I don't blame him. You know, when you haven't set up blind already, and you've gotten a lot of the chests out of the way, you know, and the frustration factor, absolutely noping out of there. I don't blame him. I'd be frustrated too.
I'm actually kind of curious. I don't remember if he got all the dungeon items or not, so I don't know if blind has an item or if blind only has, like, the map or a compass. Yeah, that's got to be frustrating. That's a pretty significant time loss. And that is a crystal dungeon, so he's gonna have to go back there eventually. But he's gonna try and probably put it off until he gets a sword.
And I wonder too if he's gonna wait until he gets hammer as well to get that last, you know, big key chest in Thieves Town. So we'll see. Right now he's doing Div Game, and Pokedude is doing Eastern. So both are sort of retracing the steps of the other. So
yeah. Well, the thing about Thieves Town is he didn't find the small key yet. I don't think he did, unless he found it in the first 4, and I'm just wrong. I'll have to wait until he goes back to see. Did we even find anything in Eastern Palace? I don't remember.
I don't think anything of significance was found in Eastern Palace, if I remember correctly.
It looks like Dunham's now going to grab the purple chest. Probably walk down, check Hype Cave. He's going to get his mirror from purple chest, and then it's a matter of where does he go next. The nice thing is with this setup, he can... Never mind. We're good. I don't even have to finish that statement, because it would have immediately been wrong.
As was I by saying nothing of significance in Eastern, though, you know, Caverna, I guess debatably of significance, I would say is of significance.
Yeah, it depends on if Spike Cave has anything or not. But they don't have a hammer, so they wouldn't be able to check it regardless. What I was gonna say before was, like, if he had decided to, well, why would he walk down the purple chest? Oh, because he still hasn't gone to Hype Cave. So, but yeah, Yeah, no, this is fine.
So now in the back of my head, I'm thinking, where's Lamp to start putting Death Mountain into sequence? That's my next question.
Maybe we'll get a vanilla flute. Lamps on Death Mountain. Ah, blue! It's still blue, but hey, that's a nice blue mail to find there. Shoutouts to the digging game. Alright, well, at this point, we're kind of running out of options. We've got the 2 mirror spots that we just opened up. Potentially one more item in Thieves Town. I think they already got... No, they didn't get both items in Skull Woods, so the back half of Skull Woods, but of course without a sword, it doesn't look very ideal of an option at this point. Where the heck is that hammer?
Now, my question is, and it could be very wrong, is Graveyard Ledge in Logic at this point now that they have the mirror?
Graveyard Ledge? Of course. You can get to it with just mirror, without boots. There are rocks that you can pick up. There are rocks you can pick up with the Titan mitts, or you can actually route through the graveyard. There's like a couple bushes you can pick up.
So perhaps that's where Dunham's going to head, or as chat's also pointing out, Magic Bat is in Logic now that the mirror is in his possession. So a couple of places that he can check, and it looks like he might be going for one of them right now.
Oh man, it's an interesting option because, of course, he has to sacrifice his portal to do this. Still hasn't been to Hype Cave, as far as we know. No, I don't think he has.
I mean, the good news is that once he's out of Magic Bat Cave, he can go back and pick up the rock with his mitts. Again, you're right, he loses his portal, but it doesn't have to go all the way through, the Lost Woods to get back to the Dark World.
Let's see if he remembers to check Sick Kid on his way out, too.
Yes, that could be the progression in Sick Kid right there, so hopefully he remembers to check that.
Yeah, things are a little limited right now. We have Graveyard Ledge, we have Circle of Bushes, we have Sick Kid, we have Back of Skull Woods, but without a sword. Will Sick Kid have our first sword? Let's wait and see. What do we got? It's gonna be a heart container, which is still nice, but where the heck is that sword, man? I'm so confused.
Yeah, the well is running dry for both runners, and looks like Pokedude might be himself going to turn in that mushroom as they both are, I think, probably scratching their heads at this point.
Yeah, it's not very often that a seed kind of comes down to that last possible location for both runners. Of course, you know, Pokedude still has all of Thieves Town he can go through, and Dunham still has a few overworld spots left. We know it's not at Hype Cave, but we got 2 mirror spots that we can go check now, and whatever Blind's holding.
So now, if you're a runner in one of these two's position, where you're being funneled really into very few options left, you know, what are you thinking? Are you thinking the other runner is in the same situation? Do you think that he or she has found something? I mean, what would you think in this situation, Willard?
I mean, there's a lot of times where seeds just kind of bottleneck at some point, and you just got to hope that the other player did the exact same thing. Whenever I play Rando, I'm always immediately thinking about what my opponent's doing, and just always assuming that they did the right thing first. So I'm always like several minutes behind all time throughout the entire race. So it's like, oh, my opponent probably sequence broke up to Death Mountain, found the hammer, blah blah blah, or you know. It's also, both these players have kind of done interesting, different sort of routing with the blacksmith, purple chest, and all that stuff that has kind of forced them into these like one-off locations. But at the same time, with that purple chest holding the mirror, you know, there's really no way to route that in conveniently, unless you did like purple chest to desert, which I think is what Pokedude did.
Well, Dunham is finally arriving at the Hype Cave to find that the hype is overhyped. And, you know, from there, I guess both runners have nearly checked everything that they could think of. I'm sure there's a couple of options left, but they must be wondering where are some of those progression items.
All right, well, at this point, I think we just got 3 spots left. Graveyard Ledge, Circle of Bushes, and maybe Thieves Town. I don't actually remember if there's still an item there or not.
Unfortunately, Dunham, I believe, went to Circle of Bushes, and it was only a big 20, so that is -1 location for these poor runners.
Wow. I couldn't imagine if, like, Back of Skull Woods had a sword or something, and then that sword led you to kill Mothula. I think the vanilla Big Key chest had a map. I don't think we've seen any of the items in Skullwoods either. But it looks like Pokedude's going to go ahead and check that pedestal. Sometimes I think it's safe to assume when you have 2 Light World pendants that there's a good chance that it could be pedestal required. Though there is kind of a lot of different things that could be required in order to do Desert Palace. And it's half magic on the pedestal.
Oh, it's a really nice safety to have, a really nice thing to have, but you're not going to go out of your way to get that on the pedestal. Not that I would think.
No. These players are probably going to be frustrated, like, oh man, I want that. Dang it.
Both runners are being very skillful in how they maneuver enemies without a sword. I have to give them both applause on that one, because at about 50 minutes in not having a sword, it's really frustrating for any runner, and you have to get really creative with the items that are in your possession.
Mm-hmm. So I like seeing the use of hookshot or boomerang to kind of stun a lot of enemies, especially these mummies, the Gibdos. Get that red boomerang out, just stun them, get them out of the way. I don't want to see them at all.
Yeah, Gibdos are terrible, and in terms of enemy ranking of terribleness, I would say Dead Rock's Gibdos, both obnoxious creatures.
Oh, for sure. And who could forget our dear friend Wallmaster? Those guys are great. It's the best part about Randomizer is when they randomly spawn Wallmasters in different rooms, like the top of Ganon's tower right before Aghanim. It's hilarious every time. But
hilarious is certainly a word. Hilarious is certainly a word for that one.
Alright, so Dunham getting the book now. He might be thinking desert. I really hope that he continues checking Skullwoods. I want to see what's in the back half of Skullwoods in the Fire Rod section, because, Fire Rod hasn't unlocked anything else, so there's a good chance that an item's going to be in the first chest. And he's already on the route. He has the mirror, so even if he checks the front chest and it's useful but not like a sword, he can mirror out and go check something else. Or if it is a sword, he can mirror out and then go fight Mothula. Though Fire Rod, Fighter Sword, no hammer, Mothula? Ugh. I don't like that. That sounds terrible.
That's a rough option to choose. Actually, earlier today did that, and I can tell you from experience, not a fun thing.
Dude, even Master Sword Mothula sucks.
I mean, Mothula in general is terrible.
Dude, by the way, I love that the bunny form of Squirtle. It's the Squirtle Squad. It's so good.
Well, that's awesome. I'm sad I missed that. I hope we get to see it again sometime.
Well, unfortunately, Dunham out of magic. So he's going to bail, go check that pedestal. I hope he goes back and looks for some magic. In this situation, there is a bomb wall in the same room as where you get the vanilla Big Key that has a full magic refill underneath the pot. And if you're short on magic, it's always a good idea to go ahead and check that. And Dunham getting a little ahead of himself, wanting to go ahead and grab the pedestal right then and there. Of course, need the pendants to do that. And right now, we can't really get any of them. Even if he was to sequence break up to Tarapera, he doesn't have a weapon to kill Moldorm, for instance. What the heck is this seed, dude? What is happening?
This is rough for these runners. At nearly almost 10 minutes to the hour, not having a sword, well-running try with items and logic to get them to progress. It's now you're just sort of like you're just getting all those one-off locations, and it's got to be pretty frustrating. Yeah, it does look like Dunham is going to make that play into Desert Palace, finding, of course, that it's going to be boots locked. And I wonder if he's going to do the same thing as Pokedude and steal that key to get those other 2 items. So again, didn't really pay off for Pokedude. So if he doesn't, certainly not a huge loss.
I'm curious to see if Pokedude can actually make it all the way to blind. I shouldn't have said anything. I should not have said anything. He didn't even
commentator's cursed.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you gotta take advantage of the tools that you have. You got a hook shot, you got a boomerang, you got Cane of Burna. You gotta play it safe. And all these enemies do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, Pokedude hasn't gotten the blue mail from the dig spot, so.
So now the question is, as Dunham sort of reaches the end of the rope here before either he decides to sequence break up Death Mountain, or if he's comfortable with that Dark Room sequence, how long before do you think he's going to go ahead and take that dip back into Thieves Town?
How about now? He's opting to not steal a small key. He walked all the way over there and then realized he didn't have one. Where's he going?
Wonder if a little bit of the open muscle memory and an open is kicking in. He's thinking, like, I didn't, or is he going to Aghanim? I don't know what he's doing right now.
I don't know. These runners are unpredictable. Which is kind of entertaining, but at the same time extremely frustrating to commentate when you have no idea what they're doing or thinking about.
I'm guessing that open mode muscle memory kicked in for Dunham, and I think he just realized that he has already checked all these locations.
So Dunham, all he has is Graveyard Ledge and Finishing Thieves, and checking that one chest in Skull Woods. That's it. Those are the only things he has left. And it looks like he might be going up to grab a potion, get rid of his B, save and quit, maybe head back to Thieves Town. Pokedude, on the other hand, having a little bit of trouble getting back to blind, taking a lot of damage, and fortunately, taking a few deaths along the way. The question is, will we see that sword sub 1 hour? That's the real question.
Vegas odds, I'm going to say no, but if I were a runner, I would hope those Vegas odds would be wrong.
Imagine, if you will, that these runners have to defeat blind to get their first sword.
Oh, that is a scary imagination.
See, this is the kind of seed that I want. I would dig this kind of seed. This would be fun.
You are a brave man, Willard J. Bradley. You are a brave, brave man.
Look, the thing is, I've played plenty of swordless seeds, so playing without a sword. I mean, I think it was in my second round race of the tournament, my first sword was 53 minutes in. So I'm used to it.
That's true. You're a much more seasoned runner than I am. But so I'm going to throw something out at you. I think Dunham, what he might be doing, because he has the bug net, I think he might try to complete Aghanim to get to where he couldn't without the hammer in Dark World.
Except that's not a thing. He doesn't have the cape.
Oh, yes. For some reason, I thought he had the cape. So, yes, that is not a thing. He and I are on the same wavelength.
And I would be I rarely you see people do Dark Agate Tower, so I would be blown away to see a player finish Dark Agate Tower without the lamp. So
Also true, and
it's a little bit easier when you have Fire Rod because there are torches along the way that you can light. But Pokedude has made it to blind. We're gonna see this Kana Burna fight coming up, and we're gonna find out what blind is holding on to. Does not have a small key, so that means that the big chest is not a thing. And Dom's gonna have to be a little bit careful because if he runs out of magic, he has to mirror out and go start the fight over again. But would have to go find more magic. And based on how much magic he has at this point, I would highly advise him to switch to Canis Maria. And he's out. All right.
well, at the very least, he has blind set up for return. And Dunham looks like he finally said, "I'm going for the sequence break." I'm quite not sure what to do at this point, and either he's forgotten that Thieves Town is an option, or he just said he's going to come back to it later.
Yeah, and Dunham with the green potion has plenty of room to go back and fight blind with Kana Burna, Kana Samaria, whichever. To be fair, fighting blind without a hammer or sword is extremely difficult for newer runners. Pokedude taking advantage of the fortune teller to get a health refill here. And a couple jokes along the way. Dunham having a little bit of trouble in Death Mountain. The problem is, after you find the old man, you can't leave until you save the old man. If you save and quit, it just puts you right back where the old man is. So he's kind of he's set himself up to be forced to do this.
And again, dark rooms without a sword are definitely a lot trickier. So, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for him that he makes it through. I know. Oh, and we found our first sword on the bumper ledge.
Oh my gosh! All right. Well, okay. Cape at Graveyard Ledge to get the sword at Bumper Cave. Please make it happen. Oh. Come on, Dunham, you got this.
He's close. You can hear those bats, so that's a good sign for him.
Yeah. Granted, there are some bats at like the front half of that last portion of the Death Mountain, but it looks like he has made it through, so good job. He did it. That could be really tricky without a sword, not gonna lie.
Well, the nice thing now is he's got an extra spot to start from when he saves and quits, so that's also an added advantage.
But here's the thing, he's got a lot of stuff going on that he can do up in Death Mountain, which, like you were saying before, could essentially lead him astray if, like, Blind has a required item, or if Cape is at Graveyard Ledge, or, something like that. Or this could just allow him to skip having to fight Blind under current, circumstances. Who knows? He might find, 4 swords up here. I don't know. 20 swords. All the swords.
Death Mountain has all the swords. He's
every
okay.
one of them. Fairy in a bottle. That's a pretty nice find.
Opting to leave it behind, so that's. I think I probably picked it up this early on, just for the sake of the half a minute loss. But if he's very confident, doesn't need it.
If it was your first bottle. Maybe. He has the bug net, so he can get fairies whenever he wants, and powder. So I don't think it's worth it. But that's my opinion. Let's see where Pokedude heads off to next. I have a feeling he's going to go back into Thieves Town. Nope, this is a Graveyard Ledge check. Calling it right now.
This is our first Graveyard Ledge check, and I'm going to guess. I'm putting my money on that this has got something.
I want it to be the Cape. Cape would be perfect.
Got 30 seconds before that sub 1 hour sword dream is truth or lie.
Sword. Nope. Dream is dead. Unless Pokedude finds a sword right here, right now. Just a piece of heart. Wow, so that means Blind has to have something, right?
At this point, I can see no other solution.
I gotta say, this is actually quite fascinating to watch. There's the hammer and the ball. There's Pod right there. Wow.
Well, and now you can dip Tower of Hera. You have something to take care of Moldorm. So, you might want to grab those couple of items while you're already here on Death Mountain. But if not, I also understand if Dunham decides to nope on out of Death Mountain or rather pick up the rock to go into Dark Death Mountain.
See, and just imagine, had these players sequence broke up Death Mountain as soon as they got through Kakariko, as soon as they got the glove, they would have had hammer and bow early, they would have had a convenient weapon, they would have been able to, go straight to Hype Cave from the swamp chest, or a swamp portal or whatnot. Sometimes sequence breaks are good, sometimes they're bad, but a lot of times they're good. This time it would have been pretty good. But I still feel like Blind's got to have something.
Right, because you've broken logic at this point, and so in logic you only have Blind left. So and of course you have the back of Skullwood. So one of those two has to have something. I'm interested to see what it is. So I'm sure we'll see that before too long.
Oh man, I could easily see Blind holding on to Flute to get up to Death Mountain at this point, or Lamp. Good call, Twitch chat. Killing it. Big 20. Now at this point, well, I guess he'll pop into the Dark World. This is a silly scene, man. The Batcave only had 10 arrows, so we've already seen that. Graveyard Ledge had a heart piece. So within logic, the only options we have left are Blind and that one chest in Skullwoods. That's it. That's it. And those are both really horrible spots, given the items that they have. Because nobody wants to do the back of Skullwoods without a sword. Nobody wants to fight Blind with only Kane, Samaria, or Burna.
Well, and at this point, Dunham is hoping, I'm sure, for more progression here and also in Hookshot Cave to make this happen. So, interesting to see what we see. We got a couple things. We got Boomerang, we got Quake, so that's something.
Well, the nice thing is that Hammer also unlocks, access to the right side of Dark World. So Pyramid Check, Palace of Darkness, Catfish, and yeah, Mirror plus Hammer. We have Tower of Hera access. We could even go into Turtle Rock at this point. And there's the boots. It's so funny because a lot of times you'd see the opposite. You'll see Hookshot there. They have to bonk with the boots to get across. That's pretty comical. And the flippers. So Death Mountain, very valuable. And Dunham saving and quitting out. Instead of going to Tower, he's going to skip Tower of Hera. He's going to skip checking Ether Tablet. I don't think he even checked to see what T-Rock required at this point. So...
No, definitely he didn't, and I have to say, Dark Death Mountain was like a footlocker. It's got all the footwear, so that was good for them, or good for Dunham, and soon to be good for Pokedude, hopefully. So it opens up, having those boots opens up a few more locations, but it looks like he's going to go ahead and take care of Crystal Dungeon right now, or perhaps he's going to go into, looks like it, Pod first, and then back to Eastern.
Yeah, so he's going to allow him to progress quite a bit. But I mean, that's why I think of all the sequence breaks, some of the safer ones are the Lamp ones. if you can do it. Because, you know, when you're down to these two remote locations within logic, but you have all of Death Mountain and you have, you know, Moon Pearl, Titan Mitts, Hookshot, Mirror, it's like skipping out on Death Mountain is just, it's silly at this point.
So the nice thing now is that Dunham's going to be able to take care of Pod. Definitely going to have his work cut out for him. You got some of the tougher dark rooms in here. And then he, if successful, can then take care of Eastern Palace.
Ooh, wow, that was close. Dunham almost getting bopped by that Ropa, which would have stolen Kiki away from him. And Pokedude, once again, back here, but still without enough magic. He might actually have to go back and check that. Grab that full magic refill in this room. Yeah, because that's the thing is when you leave a dungeon, or even when you mirror out of a dungeon, it resets all the pot contents that aren't keys, obviously. So, like, bombs respawn, magic respawns, hearts respawn, bunny beams. So, if he was to go into the back and get that full magic refill, it would be there.
Well, it is 1 hour and 6 minutes, and we have our first sword in Pod. So Dunham now is better equipped to take care of some of the challenges here in Hyrule and Dark Hyrule, and so that was a good play going into Pod. That was a very good play.
Wow, sword in the first chest of Pod. That's a rare sight to see.
Looks like Pokedude had a moment of pause as he took a death in, or I didn't see if he died or saved and quit out of Skullwoods, but had a moment of pause. I'm sure he is pretty frustrated, but it looks like he might be not quite sure where he might be headed right now, actually.
I think he's gonna go buy a green potion. So that seems to be his situation here. Is he needs magic because he wants to go check the back of Skull Woods. But yeah, at this point, I would be surprised if the next item that Pokedude finds is not the lamp or the flute. It pretty much has to be, because of just all the things that we found up in Death Mountain.
Right, and the good news for Dunham on the right side is that I believe, if I am correct, there are 5 unique items in Pod, so that'll be a good item density for him to check, and hopefully we'll give him something good, although he, again, does need to navigate some of those difficult dark rooms in the Dark Maze to do so.
Yeah. Of all the dark rooms, that's still the one that I will still bring up a resource just to, like, eyeball through it, because I'm not going to try and memorize Dark Maze. It's not worth it, man, when there's resources out there that can guide you.
Chad coming through with some of the funny quips here. Blind having a lamp, that would be something to see.
Well, the nice thing for Dunham is when he goes back to do Skull Woods, he has a sword to fight Mothula if he wants to. When he wants to.
Pokedude being incredibly persistent, and I really admire him for that. He's going back into Skullwoods, hoping to find something good.
He really wants to stay in Logic. But it might just be a comfort thing, you know. He may not know or be comfortable with doing Dark Death Mountain. It's we saw Dunham go through it. It's a little tricky when you don't have a sword to guide you.
Absolutely, and certainly something advice that I've been given is, if breaking logic frequently takes you in a wrong path and opens it up too much for you to navigate back to logic eventually, then sometimes breaking logic isn't as worth it as it may be.
All right, what do we got in Skull Woods? It's gonna be the flute. There it is. So that's
our progression.
That also gets him to the Mire area. Could even get him in Misery Mire. He can check Mire Shed. He can check Checkerboard. Now, unfortunately, Pokedude needs to bail because he cannot finish this dungeon without a sword. It looks like he is realizing that now. So who knows, if Pokedude immediately activates that flute, and if that flute ends up evading Dunham for quite a while, that he could find some advantage from having that. It is a required item, seen as Misery Mire is a crystal.
Well, Dunham's doing it. He's working his way to navigate the dark maze, so I'm hoping that it is successful, although it looks like the mini Dodongos are giving him quite a tough time.
Yeah, those Kadongos are awful. They're kind of nice because they can kind of light your way, but at the same time, they're kind of terrible. And get in your way quite a bit. Yeah, I'm curious. I kind of hope Pokedude goes straight to Mire because I just want to see what's over there. Because, if he finds another sword there, or the cape, then he can get his first sword from Lumber. Or from Bumper Cave, excuse me.
All right, well, we have the bird activated, a swag duck, or whatever you'd like to call him. He's activated, so we're going to see where Pokedude goes, and as you said, Willard, he's got a couple of options. He can go to Death Mountain, which of course will bear a lot of fruit for him, a lot of good things, or he can go to Misery Mire, which could equally have some good things for him as well.
Yeah, it looks like Pokedude is gonna think about it for a little bit. He's gonna have a good long think while he figures out what he wants to do next. Hour and 10 minutes to finally kind of break open this seed is it's got to be frustrating, man. And it looks like Dunham has decided to bail on out to go finish off Eastern Palace instead of taking on Helma. Sitting at half a heart, I'm sure he wants to go for the easier fight, kill Armos, get a full heal, then go back into Pod and finish that out. And we do have the Mire check from Pokedude. He's got to be careful here. Those pterodactyls are terrifying. And it is Ether, which is a medallion we haven't seen yet. Add that on the shopping list. One more thing.
Nice thing is he can get to the shed now, and he can also get to the mirror location on the right side of Mire, which will give him at least 3 more items.
There's the ice rod. Oh, baby. So, here's the thing. If he goes up, he could potentially even do T-Rock. Of course, another dark room up in T-Rock. But the thing is, if he has the medallion for T-Rock, there is a very good chance that the lamp is sitting in T-Rock, like in Mimic Cave, or... of course, he still needs a sword, so he can't go in there yet. I keep getting ahead of myself. So we're still looking for 2 more swords. There's 1 in Pod, and there's 1 on Bumper Cave. Maybe we'll find another one in here. Just a blue root. Well, dang, now I wish Pokedude had a sword, because I want him to go straight into T-Rock.
Well, Dunham's doing a nice job.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, Dunham's doing a nice job. He picked up the key in that dark room. There is a lantern that you could light to the left of the entrance, but he's doing a decent job. He killed the Mimic, and so He's kind of making his way to the exit point, which hopefully... Ah, there he goes, and he lit that torch, so he'll make his way to that exit point.
So someone brought up a good point in chat. We saw it earlier, the Aether Medallion required for Meyer is actually sitting on Lake Hylia Island. So once Pokedude gets those flippers over in where were they? Paradox Cave? They were on Deathbound. Oh, no, they were in Hookshot Cave. Once he gets those, he can go get Aether Medallion and could potentially even go straight into Meyer if he so chooses. Yeah, I say there's a lot of benefit from being comfortable doing dark rooms. They save you a tremendous amount of time, especially when you already have the fire rod, because then the lamp is only useful for lighting up rooms. That's it.
Dunham is doing a fantastic job at killing the Armos Knights a lot more quickly, getting that NMG quick strat going. You know, a little bit of a misstep, but that's all right. Still did a really nice job in quick time to get his 300 from the Armos Knights. And I believe our first crystal of the match.
Just want to say that was not even close to the NMG strat, but a valiant effort, I will say. But yes, first crystal, 115, 116. We're on the board. It's a good place to be. Yeah, if you want to do like the NMG style quick kill, you set up in between the top right, the top two. They line up in a 2x3 pattern. So you set up with the top two on the right, like right in between them, and you shoot 5 arrows to the right, turn around, walk to the left, and shoot down. It works out. There's actually a couple other quick ones because, like the Ice Armos is a different setup as well. That works. Oh yeah, I forgot we got boots in Hookshot Cave as well. Just a small shield. Did he skip? He hasn't done Kingstoon yet, has he?
No, and I thought that's maybe where he was heading, but it looks like he's heading back toward Kakariko. Maybe he's going to route that in.
Maybe this is the blind fight. Or he might be going straight to Skull Woods. You know, Fighter Sword Muff is kind of awful. Hammer makes it a little less awful, or more awful, depending on how you feel about it.
Yes, we do have the hammer to do hammer pegs now, so that looks like what Dunham is doing to clear this out. And I bet perhaps giving a thought to Thieves' Town once more after this is done. All right, well, he's only found a bomb capacity upgrades, but it looks like Dunham might be heading into Skullwoods at this point to finish off that dungeon, which will make him very happy to find the flute and also open up at least a few locations for him. Well, one location that he has not yet checked, which is Misery Mire area.
Yeah, he's going to be pretty happy to find that flute. All right, well, hopefully Dunham goes back and checks that chest. I can't imagine him not checking it. But if I recall correctly, I think Mothula also has an item, so who knows what we'll find here.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of runners go back after they kill Mothula to check that chest. And of course, getting the flute if you're intending to kill Mothula at this point isn't going to give him any extra benefit, so he's doing an okay thing right now.
Alright, Dunham. I think he still has that green potion too, so he might just opt to use Fire Rod potion, more Fire Rod. Because Fighter Sword is not a reliable option against Mothula at all, in my opinion. I mean, you can sit in the corner and try and get spins off, but man, it's a tough fight. Godspeed.
You gotta be careful with that Wall Master. Even if you fall down the pit and it comes at you, sometimes it can grab you and put you right back to the beginning part of the back part of this dungeon.
Oh yeah. Actually, I think that happened in my race against Pokedude. Pretty sure. It was pretty embarrassing. Oh, he does have that hammer out.
And I don't think he has a fairy, so... Oh, that's rough.
Hopefully I grab that fairy in a bottle in Spectacle Cave. I was kind of curious because he used his green potion, but then opted to just stick to hammer. Unless he wanted to just use the green potion, so if he was to die, he can come back and get through this room quickly. But Pokedude picking up the boots and picking up the flippers. So that's the thing, is like, how good is your memory? At this point, you're an hour and something in. Do you still remember that Ether Medallion is sitting on Lake Hylia Island?
That's a great question. Personally, I probably would have forgotten. If I usually try to write those things down so that I will go back to them later.
Unfortunately, taking a shot to the face from those Lionels. Good thing he did have a fairy on him, but he's going to be able to go over here and check what's on Ether Tablet, and more than likely going to hop into Tarapera just to take a look.
Well, and Dunham is a much better location, but much better place to fight Mothula now. Full hearts, or was it full hearts at the beginning of the fight? So, though his magic meter is a little bit low, so we'll see what he has to do. He does have that green goo on him.
Oh my God. The lamp is at Ether Tablet.
Oh, you are a cruel seed.
What? What is that? I can't believe it. Pokedude can't believe it. Alright, so... So the game wants you to find at least 2 swords. We know where one of them... We know where 2 of them are. So maybe we'll find a cape in here, in Tarapera. And thank goodness, Dunham, before he saved and quit, he's gonna go check this chest and be rewarded with a lamp so he can at least continue doing stuff. He does have a lot open to him. Like, he can go to Ice Palace with Fighter Sword and Hammer. Yeah, that's not ideal. I don't like the sound of that.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be a rough go, but I think getting the flute at least will give him some idea to try a couple of other things before he goes back in to try Mothula. Hopefully with the sword upgrade, hopefully with some more, maybe another bottle to put some goo in to help him out. But we'll see what he does next. Looks like he's going to activate that flute, and perhaps he'll do Misery Mire just like Pokedude did.
Well, that's the thing. It's going to give him the Ice Rod, and then he's going to be immediately thinking, oh, great, T-Rock. There's a lot of chests up there. It's probably a sword up there as well. And the other thing we didn't really even think about is that they have the ability to do Swamp Palace, which, in my opinion, is a pretty cozy dungeon. I'd probably aim to go ahead and do that. There's always a sword in Swamp Palace. Except when there isn't, but...
Well, and of course you have 6 items there, so that makes it an attractive offer, certainly.
And it's a... You know, the hardest part about that dungeon is doing Argus with a Fighter Sword. But there's no lamp requirements, so there's a good chance that we're going to find something there. We do have a big 20, and unfortunately Pokedude getting hit by that little fireball, trying to hook shot to the big chest. This seat is a bully, man.
Yeah, this has not been kind.
This seat has been brutal.
Well, the other thing, too, is if they do decide to go to Argus, if Dunham decides, or if Pokedude decides to go to Argus, they also do have the option of the hammer, though it is, of course, the menu game at that point. It is an option for them.
Yeah, switching between hookshot and hammer is it's mostly just time consuming, and it also depends on what your menu looks like, because sometimes based on your menu you have to, you know, cycle through a few extra items to get between the two, especially when you have, for instance, you know, bombos and ice rod and all that stuff.
Well, it looks like Pokedude's hearting up there, getting all his hearts ready to go to fight Trolldorn, or Moldorn, or Trolldorn as we refer to him lovingly, and hopefully will not be too trolly for him, and see if he holds an item.
Oh, I love Trolldorn. He's my favorite character in any video game. 3 hits with the hammer to take him down. That's 2. More to go. You gotta love that hammer hitbox. It's just so perfect.
It's absurd, but Pokedude takes care of Moldorm for Piece of Love, and a pendant, which, as we know, the pedestal dream is dead, unless you like half magic.
At this point, he might be going for half magic, but I don't think anyone wants to willingly finish all of Ice Palace for that green pendant at this point.
No one wants to willingly finish Ice Palace for any reason.
And we are seeing the Swamp Palace play from Dunham. You know, at the same time, he could go check what's on the Bombos tablet. He won't be able to get the item, but he can check. And we're seeing a Spike Cave from Pokedude. He does have the magic. He has the health. He has Glove Hammer. He's got Burna, so he can use that to keep himself alive to finish out the rest of this. Opting to use his blue potion instead. Where'd he? Oh, he must have bought that potion. And I didn't even see what he got.
Big 20. That's what you get from the Spike Cave. But, you know, again, a check that's worth making because it could hold something significant, and it could be sitting there in the back of your head for quite some time.
Yeah, you don't want to put it off for too long. Let's see if Pokedude remembers to check both King's Tomb and Bonk Rocks. And it looks like it. So if King's Tomb has something of value, like, I don't know, a sword, maybe, that would be helpful.
All right, let's see what the king was buried with, and it is a piece of heart. Just some love from the deceased monarchy. Of course, with the flippers, I believe Pokedude hasn't checked Hobo either, so if my memory serves correctly, so that is certainly a location for him to check as well.
All right, let's see what else we got going on in Swamp House. Now, this is not only a crystal dungeon, but it is a Pyramid Fairy crystal dungeon. Here's something worth thinking about. Both this and Misery Mire are the Pyramid Fairy crystals, so essentially Dunham could finish up Swamp, hop on over to Lake Hylia, get the Ether Medallion. Probably going to find a sword in here, but he didn't check Ether Tablet, so he doesn't know that the lamp is up there. He seems relatively comfortable with his dark room, so he might even opt to just go straight in and do Mire in the dark.
Looks like Pokedude is going back with a vengeance to Thieves Town to take out Blind in the fight. And the nice thing is he's also got Hammer, but I don't believe has extra keys, so can't check that back chest. I believe you had mentioned that earlier, but can get the crystal from Blind, which I believe he already has set up, which is nice.
All right, Pokedude coming back. He's got Hammer in hand. Let's see how he takes on Blind this time. Unfortunately, because it's a return to this fight, you don't get that free first cycle.
So far, Swamp not really turning up much of anything for Dunham, but again, Crystal Dungeon worth doing, and as you said, a bit easier on the runners than later dungeons might be with a fighter sword.
Oh man, Pokedude's gotta be a little careful. Down to half a heart. Switch to Burna. Finish out the fight. He's got plenty of magic. I think he can get through the rest of this fight. Go, 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 go. There it is. All right, what does Blind have for us today? It is a compass. All right, cool. I knew it. I knew it from the start, guys. I was only joking.
I think there's some irony in there, Blind having a wayfinding tool.
I think Blind existing is ironic. Just in general. That boss fight. Hey, do you know that boss fight's scripted?
I sure did.
It's pretty great. Though it's a little hard to stay on script without a sword. So, to kind of recap a little bit, Pokedude needs to head over to Palace of Darkness, where there is a sword waiting for him, but at the same time, we're still trying to find our second sword if we want to stay in logic, because as we all know, the lamp is sitting on Ether Tablet up at the tip top of Death Mountain beside Tower Para. We know where a second sword is, but it is blocked behind the cape, which we have yet to see. There's the big key for Dunham. There's only 2 things left in this dungeon, aside from the crystal.
And my question is, what's the time differential on not going back to that big chest versus just going back into the dungeon and getting it later?
That's a good question. I think with the... well, it also depends on if how many items are left. I don't know if he's already gotten both the... He's still missing the map, so it's smarter to go ahead and fight Argus if Argus gives him the last item. Then he doesn't have to go back in and check the big chest. And we are going to see those hammer strats coming up. With Fighter Sword, it's a little bit trickier. You got to do 2 spins to take down each puff. If you charge your sword, then hook shot, and then release the spin before, like, quick enough so you don't accidentally poke the puff, then you'll take him out. You'll do a double spin and take him out. But sometimes it's better just to do hammer strats.
Well, luckily for Dunham, as you mentioned before, sometimes the menu layout and what you have in your menu could be a bit obstructionist in terms of this, the menu boss, as people like to call it. But luckily for Dunham, he's got a straight line, kind of a straight L down into that hammer, which is nice for him.
Yeah, it's better if you don't have Bombos or Ice Rod, because then it's one less input on the menu. Right, one more to go, and it looks like Pokedude's falling right behind him, and he will be forced to do hammer strats on Argus since he is still without sword. Yeah, it's 4 Fire Rod shots to take him out. You can also do 4 hammer hits. The nice thing is if you hit Argus right up against the wall, you can actually get multiple Fire Rod or even Ice Rod shots in to kind of combo him. And opting to switch and finish him off with the bow.
It's the best game of target practice we're going to see, and the seed is certainly trying to get Argus with that bow.
Oh, finish him off. So we saw Fire Rod, bow, and sword, and hammer strats to take down Argus, and of course, dropping the map, so Dunham's going to have to go back in to check that big chest. All right, so if we don't find any progression from this big chest, what's the next play? What do you think?
Well, you could certainly go to Ice Palace, route in the island to get, I believe it was Ether. Or, I mean, you could certainly check the tablet near Desert Palace first, or you can get the cape and do that.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think Dunham knows what is at Buffer Cave, but he will shortly, because he's going to be heading straight there. And that will give him his Master Sword. And I'm curious to see what he's going to do with that. But wow, what a series of events just to... The things that this game wants you to do to stay in logic. So the game wants you to check the back of Skull Woods to get the flute, to go up to Death Mountain to get the flippers and hammer, to go into Skull Woods to get the cape, to get a sword, and then you had to pop into Pod to get one more sword, just so you can go up to Death Mountain to get the lamp. To beat the rest of the game. It's crazy. And here's the thing, I think at that point we have knowledge of where all our required items are. We know where Ether is. We have our Master Sword to finish off Ganon, and to get our lamp that is only required by logic to beat the game.
The only other thing that these runners might be wanting to look for are those silver arrows, but again, you can certainly take Ganon out without them.
Yeah, I'm assuming both these players are going to be wanting at least Temper Sword, or at least Master Sword Silvers. Master Sword Silverless is, it's not pleasant. It's not fun, especially when half magic's on the pedestal, because that's one of the things that makes Master Sword Silverless Ganon a little bit easier, is when you have cape and half magic, because then you could just kind of sit in the shadows in safety and just spin to your heart's desire. But that's not going to be an option for them today. It looks like, well, he could routing. I don't remember if he's done Graveyard Ledge, but he can certainly go check King's Tomb at this point. Gotta be careful though, down to 1 heart. So just a misfire, dashing in the wrong direction, or a bonk, and that's curtains right there. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything.
Strike 2, Willard, strike 2.
I'm sorry. It's not my fault.
Well, it looks like Dunham is going to abandon that play to do the Graveyard Ledge. I wonder now if he's going to check on that tablet or if he's going to mirror onto the island in Highly Island, and if he's remembered that he still has a pendant there. Or, yeah. I think medallion was the word I was looking for.
Actually, yeah, here's the thing. I don't think Pokedude has done any of the fake flipper stuff. I don't think so. So I don't think he knows about Ether on the island. But Dunham does, because I believe he did all the fake flipper stuff at the beginning. Because I remember him getting powder pretty early. Oh, Pokedude doesn't have power. Yeah, so he didn't do any of the fake flipper stuff, so he doesn't know. There you go. Keep going. Go get that Ether medallion.
Yeah, he stopped to think for a second, and I was almost wondering if he was going to pull out the flute and think, well, check one tablet, maybe I go up to Death Mountain, check the other, and I don't know that he also went into Tower of Hera, so maybe in his head he thought, well, maybe I'll route both those things in.
Yeah, that's the thing, is if he was just to dash on over, get the Ether medallion, and then he'd get the lamp from Ether tablet, then, which I think this is what... Oh, nope. I don't think he's probably going to go check the pyramid. Yeah, he could skip all of Tower of Hera, so we already know that there's nothing up there. Just a fire shield on pyramid. He's not going to grab it. Let's see where he heads to next. Is he going to go check Catfish? I don't remember if either player has done that yet.
No Catfish checks yet, but as you say, Willard, many things come true, and here it is. Looks like he's going to go up to check Catfish. Or make a liar of me and hookshot across.
Oh, because he died. Because he died on the way to King's Tomb, so now he's going to go check it now. Okay. Got it. Alright, let's see these hammer strats from Pokedude.
Well, he was trying for the double. He's trying for it.
So, of course, at this time, we're still 2 swords MIA. So, who knows? Maybe the game wasn't forcing you to double dip pod as it is currently set up to do so. Surprised we didn't find a sword in the swamp. It's usually a pretty safe option.
So you're Dunham right now, and you have a lot of options sort of sitting at your feet. You have some dungeons you can complete. You have some places to check. I mean, what do you do, Willard, at this time? What do you think you would do?
Well, if I was him right now, I'd go to Catfish. And then I'd mirror, and then I'd go into the Whirlpool and just go straight to Ice Palace. Because it's on the list. He still needs to go back and fight Mothula, and he might be feeling a little bit more comfortable now that he has a Master Sword, but he's still probably feeling like Mothula's dumb. I don't want to go back there. Oh, but Ice Palace is a pendant dungeon. He doesn't even have to do it. What am I talking about? This is a tough call, man. He also doesn't know what medallion he needs for T-Rock. So I would go back in time and check what was needed for T-Rock and remember what's on like Hylia Island.
Bend the rules of space and time and change some outcomes.
I would have finished pod the first time I was there. You know, I don't know. It's kind of hard to ask these questions. If I was him, though, I would probably go up and check Ether Tablet. I would also dash right, dash up, and then I would dash to the left. I would run into a couple boulders, and then I would dash up. Maybe hook speed or spin speed. Then I'd run to the right and run through the portal. But this is if I was playing. I would do that.
Those are some expert strats right there. I hope everyone paid admission today.
Legit strats. Guys, I offer lessons if you're interested. Send me that Discord DM. But please don't. I'll probably ignore it. But he is going to get his lamp, and he's going to be thinking, oh, wow. What a stupid seed. Send it back. I don't want it.
All right. Well, this has opened up a lot for Dunham to not have to do a lot of dark rooms. My hope for him is that he checks T-Rock and the pendant requirement.
It looks like he's going to go over to Spike Cave next. Farm for this fairy here, see if he gets one. He got 2 hearts, that's not bad. And Pokedude, finally, at 1 hour and 46 minutes, getting his cape, which he knows will get him his first sword. And he is probably ecstatic, I'm sure. Dunham, unfortunately, is not going to have enough to get through here. In this kind of situation, it's good to use hook shot to kind of hook onto the lamps to get through the spikes a little bit quicker, and then he might not have had enough to get through regardless, but the cape ends up using more magic than the Cane of Berna does, so he didn't have as much magic going in there, so he might have been able to get to the back end if he had used Berna instead. But it would have been close. Fortunately for him, there's nothing there. But Pokedude checking that Lake Hylia island for the first time, because he hasn't been to this area yet, so this is all new to him. He got his Ether Medallion, he's about to get his powder, which he's probably excited to find, and he'll probably go ahead and check Waterfall Cave. But that's the thing, is he probably not going to want to go into Mire anytime soon. He's probably still looking for another sword so that he can go get that lamp, because he is the one player that already knew where the lamp was.
And at the very least, he is about to be in no mode, I believe, with the knowledge of where that lamp is. And, he knows where the sword is, too. So, yeah, he would be in no mode. I think he knows that the sword is on Bumper Ledge. I think he checked that, and he knows where the lamp is.
Except he doesn't know where the other sword is. The one that's in pod.
So almost in no mode, not quite.
And Dunham, with lamp in hand, is going to be a little bit more comfortable going on in finishing up Palace of Darkness. Next time he pauses, we'll get an idea of what he has left in here, and it is a map. So that probably explains a little bit better why he bailed on out of here. Probably not comfortable doing dark rooms. The dark half of that turtle room can be extremely tricky. And of course, with Helma only going to giving him a crystal, it's a little bit less ideal. Unless he's still missing a chest up here, maybe? Oh, he never made it to the big chest. That dark maze is a little tricky.
Yeah, I don't know how far he got into the dark maze. I'm not sure he got anything before he either was killed or it didn't look like he got anything here. I think he mirrored out.
He did get the bottom right chest. Strangely enough, it had a heart container in it. I think. Oh no, I'm thinking of the other dark room. Oh, there's one of our green rupees. So Helma might actually. Well, Helma does actually have an item. So I take back literally everything I just said. Curious to see if Pokedude opts to go and try and take on Mothula with sword in hand.
That's a good strat to get rid of those pterodactyls. Get that cannon burnout so they don't bother you as you lift up the rock.
But yeah, that's the interesting thing. We were talking before about what this game was wanting you to do, and the fact that Blind didn't actually hold an item. The game probably didn't even intend for you to. The game probably, like, it's possible. The logic, like, you know, allows you to fight Blind with a Cane of Samaria or Burna. But, you know, you could have just gotten the first 4 chests, which would have got you the Fire Rod, which would have led you to Flute, which would have led you up to Death Mountain to do everything else to finally get a sword to go back and fight Blind. It's kind of one of the cool things about the randomizers, how many different ways you can play the game, how many different ways you can fight each boss. I just wish more people did bomb strats on Helma. That's it. That's all I want. That's all I want to see is more bomb strats on Helma. It's great.
Well, the interesting thing is when I started, I played this as a kid in the vanilla version on SNES, and I thought that bomb strats were the way you had to go. I didn't even think of the hammer, so kudos to my 5-year-old self for being not incredibly knowledgeable on how to take on Helmasaur.
I mean, 4 bombs versus 17 hammer hits it sounds a lot more ideal because you can kind of just stand back and wail on them with bombs. It makes sense.
So Pokedude's potioning up. I wonder if he's going to go for... looks like he's fluting away, so I'm thinking either Ice Palace, maybe. But then again, he knows he doesn't need it, so definitely not that. I take that back. Looks like he might head himself to Skull Woods.
I would love to see if Helma has another sword on him. So the game was like, go into pod to get a sword, and then get out of here to go find the lamp, and then you can come back and get your other sword.
It would be something the Seed would do.
Comboing with Master Sword slashes and arrows, takes down Helmstar King to find a heart container. How lovely.
Alright, so we get a vanilla heart container and a crystal. So, Dunham is now got some options to take care of. If I were him, I'd probably go to Skullwoods at this point. That might be a little bit more attractive. Actually, be the only direction I think he can go at this point. He can go to Misery Mire as well.
He could go to T-Rock. The problem is he doesn't know what medallion he needs for it. And the other thing is, well, this might be that Lake Hylia check we got coming up for him. So that's going to be beneficial. That's what it's looking like to me. I'm gonna grab this and then head on over to Misery Mire. So at this point, the only thing Dunham is looking for now is sword upgrade and silvers. Pokedude, on the other hand, needs to make his way over to Palace of Darkness to grab that sword so he can go up to Death Mountain to get the lamp to then go back and finish Pod. But it looks like he is going to trek his way through. He was gearing up to take on Mothula. It looks like Dunham is following suit. So this might be him going back to finish off Thieves Town as well, seeing as a long time ago he did unfortunately die on his way to the blind fight thus resetting the dungeon pretty much. So, of course, when he goes back, he doesn't have to like bomb the floor again. All right, who's gonna have the better Mothula fight? We got Master Sword versus Fighter Sword. We got a bunch of potions versus none, maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing Dunham pick up any potions, so a bunch of potions versus fingers crossed in skill level. So we'll see who comes out on top. So both runners look like they're going to be entering Mothula just right about the same time.
Yeah, this is also Pokedude's first attempt at Mothula since the first time he was here. He did not have a sword. Oh man, just narrowly dodging that wall master to not get grabbed. So hopefully both these players get some convenient movement from both the bosses. Give them some good patterns. Let them get to this dungeon. We don't want to have to come back to Skullwoods ever again.
You know, if only they had held on to that B, they can use some B strats to help them out a little bit.
B strats is the worst. The only thing that ever happens is the B just knocks Mothula into you and you take more damage.
It's an insect conspiracy is what it is.
It's terrible. But Dunham does take him down, and Mothula only holding the map, so once again, I miscounted the items in both this dungeon and Thieves Town, and hyped up a potentially useful item being at the boss, only to discover that it was just another dungeon item. That's okay. We don't need any more items at this point. Well, Pokedude does. Oh no, Pokedude!
Oh!
That's rough.
Did he only have one blue goo?
He had two. He unfortunately used the first one whilst only down half a heart, so he did not get the full benefits of full health from the first blue goo. Probably would have been better to switch to hammer and try and get as many hits in, then use the blue goo to get full magic and finish him off with fire rod. Yeah, that's the thing, is like you only have so many blue potions. And it's like Pokedude's gonna go probably grab some fairies up here. Is he go? Oh, he's going for the gold B strats. I think he's gonna go grab a gold B up here, because the little statue in here, if you bonk it, will spawn a gold B.
Well, so clearly he heard me when I said B strats might be the way to go.
He definitely did. Look at that. And he could grab a fairy too, so he can have a gold bee and a fairy. He does have two bottles. Interesting. And Dunham now going to be making his way back through Thieves Town. All he has to do is go up here, hit the switch, and then he can continue downward to go pick up Blind once again and bring up Blind back to the arena to duke it out.
To say, throughout the seed, Dunham has definitely been favoring that Canis Samaria and using it in very creative, unique ways. I like to see that runners using their items to their full potential.
Oh, for sure. It always helps to use every single item on your utility belt to get through a situation. One thing that I'd like to see Pokedude add to his utility belt is the use of bonking trees. He was heading up to Skullwoods anyway, and the tree just north of this portal here, if you bonk, will drop a full magic refill, and he would have been able to save the 60 rupees from having to buy a green potion to refill his magic by just bonking that instead. So yeah, for Dunham, after this, he's just got to trip on over to Misery Mire and then straight up to T-Rock to finish things out. He has all medallions, so, you know, he didn't even really need to actually check what T-Rock was because he already has them all. And that's probably why he didn't check it. He probably remembered that Lake Hylia had the last medallion he needed, so there was no reason to check it. He sure pulled a fast one on me.
He's doing pretty well in this blind fight. You know, getting botted a little bit here, but at the end, he did first two phases did very well with.
Yeah, 14 hearts and blue mail. He's got plenty to work with.
All right, well, Pokedude's make his way to Mothula again. This time it's personal. This time he's out for blood. So we're all rooting for him. Let's get some hype in the chat for Pokedude to take out Mothula.
Ooh, that Wall Master was about to ruin Pokedude's day, but that I don't know if he hit him with the pot or if it was like the lingering hitbox from the Fire Rod. Either way, taking him out. Man, who would have thought that that lamp was like the big gatekeeper of the seed? Of course, actually, I'd say the swords were the big gatekeeper of the seed. The lamp was just a product of that. The aftermath. We are seeing these gold B strats from Pokedude. I believe gold sword just does fighter sword slashes, so it's not going to be extremely useful. Especially because the B does not stick around forever. You'll see players sometimes, if this is their like only option, they'll recapture the gold B and then use them again, and it resets the timer on how long they stick around.
Ooh, Pokedude's getting low on hearts again. He's got to be careful. Hopefully he can take Mothula out with another. Oh, and takes the death. See, this is the tough part about seeds that start to run long, is that, you know, as a runner, you start to get a little bit of exhaustion setting in, and whereas earlier on, fresher in the seed, you might be able to really employ some great strategies. As the seed wears on, and, you know, your nerves are high, and you're wondering what your other runner's doing, sometimes things can get a little bit messier, and sometimes things don't pan out quite as they would earlier on.
Yeah, it's one of the places that you can see that a lot is like at the Ganon fight. If you get to Ganon, you know, you take a death. It's hard not to like take a second to like go buy potions or even just like run down and ferry up just so you have more health going into the fight. It's one thing you'll see a lot in like NMG runners is they'll just keep on cycling through and dying to Ganon. If you die to Ganon once, you're likely to die to him like 4 or 5 more times. And yeah, it's unfortunate. Pokedude going into Ice Palace. He's looking for a sword. And who knows? He could find one in here, but this is a pretty lengthy dungeon to go looking for a sword.
Well, it's also a possibility that he might find silver arrows hiding out in here too, which would pay off to a degree. Certainly if Dunham ends up later on looking for the same item.
Wow. All right. Tempered Sword and Misery Mire. Well, that's 3 swords now. And that's the thing, is Pokedude could... Well, here's the thing. Both the dungeons so far that we've seen that have swords in them also require the lamp. So either the game wanted you to double dip Pod or double dip Mire. which is kind of rude, if you ask me.
I would agree with you, and Dunham did get both of his items now at Mizrameyer, so now he's just looking for that big key to go ahead and take on the giant eyeball, and he's got the tempered sword, which is good. Or no, wait, he does not. Pokedude has a temper sword, so you wonder now what strats will he employ when he gets to Vitreous.
Yeah, Pokedude's sitting a little bit prettier with the arrow count, 65 to 20. Yeah, Dunham, especially with Cape in hand, shouldn't have too much trouble. Ooh, Bamboozle! That's the worst. You go for the vanilla big key and you get a compass or a map.
And of course, you have to sit through the world's longest cutscene as well, which doesn't help.
Yeah, and that means that the big key is actually that one single chest that's like right beside where the big key is, or the big chest is, and it's not the most convenient one to run over to.
So it looks like Pokedude's gonna opt to full clear instead of bomb jump here and take care of that. Oh, he does have the cane, which helps out. And is also looking for something, so I think that's probably in the back of his head too, as he's thinking, I'm going to just full clear this.
I do love that use of bomb strats to take out the Pengonators. Yeah, unfortunately, without a small key, you can't just go to the right and check those three chests. He's going to have to go around. And now if the two Freezers here are friendly enough to drop him a small key, he could go back up the stairs and check that right side. Just like that. But it looks like he's going to opt to go ahead and go around, check the tea room chest, the iced tea chest, and work his way around. He does have the hook shot, so he can get across that hook shot room.
I'm going to correct myself from earlier. I said Dunham didn't have the tempered sword. He does. I think my brain, two hours in, is starting to lose a little bit of steam, so I got to perk up a bit and keep paying attention here.
Oh, that's no problem. Yeah, so the nice thing is he's got a good chunk of magic, so he'll be able to use the cape strats, and then he might do dashes. The most optimal thing would be to, of course, just do the NMG strat of get the damage boost from the goop, and then do tempered sword spins on the small eyeballs, and then pop 8 arrows into the big guy. But with cape, you can kind of just not even worry about health. You can just use that, get your spins off, take out the small eyeballs, and then pop 8 into them.
And going with full health is definitely going to help him. And it looks like he's taking out the bow, so he might opt to go ahead and try to. Oh no, it looks like he is going to do the sword spins here, and he's just got the bow at the ready for when the big eyeball comes out.
Yeah, the only problem about doing it this way is you got to be careful because sometimes those eyeballs will just run right into your sword, and then you'll poke them instead, and then another eyeball will just back them up and dash right into you and do. I think it's 2 hearts of damage with the blue mail. 2 or 3. Should be 3. But he does take them all out and has enough arrows that he can finish off the big eyeball without having to use his sword at all. And that's going to be Crystal 6 for this guy.
Getting ready to look like he was getting ready to mirror out, but he's underestimating Vitreous.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, you don't really mash the bow, because of course you can only have 1 arrow out at a time, like within the space, and the arrow has to land before you can shoot another one. So in cases like that, you want to just stare at your arrow count, and as soon as it goes down 8, then you can pause and switch to your main. So yeah, I'm curious to see if Pokedude is aware that this is a pendant dungeon and just looking for a sword, but I believe that is... I don't know if that's 2 or 3 items. I know it's at least 2. I don't remember what was in the tea chest, but...
Well, by the way he paused there, he himself may have been thinking that he had gotten that 3rd item, and that certainly this dip into Ice Palace might have been for naught.
Though at the same time, it is green pendant, so he could be thinking that Cold Stare might lead to something. Yeah, at this point, I think Dunham is probably comfortable enough with Tempered Sword alone. Silvers are still nice. I don't know if Dunham is comfortable doing Silverless Ganon. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, the good news for him is that if he's not, at the very least, if you do get Ganon into that last phase, he will tell you, at least give you a general idea, if not even more a specific idea of where those silver arrows are. So he could opt to go looking for them if he wanted to.
That's true. That's kind of one of the interesting things. I wonder if people... I'm sure people do take advantage of the fact that Ganon kind of tells you where the silvers are, and then they go and get them. I don't know. It's a thing. If this was swordless, then of course. Since you kind of need silvers to kill them. But that's a different game mode, so I know you're going to go into that. And it was apparently Quake Medallion to get into T-Rock, which we've had since... We've had that for quite a while, haven't we?
Yeah, Ether was our last medallion that we received, so they've had it for quite some time. Well, Dunham heading into T-Rock. He's got Tempered Sword. He's got Blue Mail, which is nice. He's got I mean, he's basically got it. He definitely has every item in the game except for silvers, so he must be feeling pretty comfortable with his situation, taking out Trinex. And Pokedude continuing on to Gold Stare, so I think he's really hoping that Gold Stare either has an item or that green pendant will lead to something.
I would love it if there was another sword in T-Rock. So it was 3 dungeons that all were lamp required. It would be just hilarious. Unfortunately, Cold Stare getting a little bit away from Pokedude. He was going for a Fire Rod shot on the initial hit. A lot of times players will go for a spin and then slashes. A spin from the left side, a spin to knock him into the top right corner is usually a safe bet to get a few more hits on him before he breaks apart like this. Of course, he only has Fighter Sword, so his only real option is to use Fire Rod or Hammer here. And fortunately, the fight getting away from him. He does have a fairy, so he can continue the fight. Let's see. Let's hope that he can finish it off.
The unfortunate thing about Cold Stare is if you don't get that spin, you know, when you break his ice armor at the very beginning, this fight can really run off the tracks for you. And my thought is, I'm wondering if he dies to Cold Stare, you know, I'm wondering, does he go back in thinking I got 2 potential items? Does he just nope on out and try something else? That's, you know, I wonder what he does next. But he does have 1 of the 3 Cold Stare puffs down, so hopefully he can finish this fight up.
Yeah, I like his utilization of hugging the top wall. The thing is, you're noticing that the ice blocks that fall down don't split apart. And for whatever reason, when you're standing up at the top there, they just don't. They fall, and then that's it. I think if they were to hit you, you'd still take damage, but they don't. The splitting apart thing makes it a little bit easier. Like Pokedude surprising us with another safety fairy, making his chances of finishing this fight even better. Now, I want to point out something I said earlier, is a lot of times when you get to this fight, you normally have, like, Tempered Sword or even just Master Sword, so slashes are effective on him. Of course, Fighter Sword slashes do nothing to Cold Stare, but you can still hit him with a spin. And Pokedude does take him down Only to get that map, but let's hope that this Sahasrara green pendant holds our silvers for our good dude, Pokedude. Wouldn't that be something?
That would be an absolute find for Pokedude, and I'm hoping that for him because you go through the trouble of doing Ice Palace, and at a certain point he must have, I would imagine, he realized, or at the very end realized that he'd gotten all the items. So I think, and I hope for him that Sasrala has something for him for his efforts.
Well, the other nice thing about two of the items that he got in Ice Palace were they were both rupee items, or rupees, so he is capable of buying another potion, and it looks like he is setting up to make the Palace of Darkness trip, which will lead him to his first sword, and he might opt to bail on out of there just to go get that lamp, which would essentially put him in go mode.
Looks like Dunham 2 is going to take advantage of the Mimic Cave in the Light Worlds, which, again, if you're looking for silvers, which I'd imagine he may be, not a bad play. Certainly something, if you feel comfortable with Silverless Ganon, you could skip, but it looks like he's going to make that play. Or, again, make a liar of me and not make that play.
Yeah, he's down to 0 keys, so he needs... And there they are. So you were right, except not Mimic Cave, just a big chest.
That's what I meant all along.
Yeah, he was checking that big chest in hopes of finding a small key. And unfortunately, Sahasrara only holding 300 rupees for that green pendant, so nothing of value in Ice Palace at all, and that's gotta be... That's gotta hurt. That's not a good feeling at all.
Yeah, so at this point, if you're Dunham, you're in go mode. You got everything you need. You're gonna start trucking your way through this. I mean, this is your last crystal, but again, you're over 2 hours. So in your mind, are you thinking, what's my opponent doing? He's got to be close. You got to be looking for that done button to be clicked at this point, I'd imagine.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Dunham's got to be feeling pretty comfy at this point. This is not just go mode, but this is like cozy go mode, like tempered and silvers. And if you even find a gold sword, you'd be even more cozy. Down a small key, so he's going to have to either, do these laser skips using the dash, or opt to switch to Cape or Burna to skip the lasers, looking for that last small key.
Looks like he's going to open that safety door first, just to make sure that if he does die from the lasers, that he will not respawn at the beginning of the dungeon, but rather this back door. So that's a smart move on his part.
Yeah, I am kind of surprised. We have seen a few unfortunate deaths on Dunham's side that he hasn't opted to utilize his bottle and bug net for catching fairies, just in case. It's always safer. It's slower, but it's better be safe than dead.
Well, of course, you had that room with the 4 anti-fairies. That would have been an optimal location for him to go ahead and pick up a couple for himself. But it looks like he did take the death, but he at least has that safety door open.
And this is good news for Pokedude. He is about to get his Master Sword and essentially put him in kind of go mode. Go mode-ish. Let's see if he decides to continue in this dungeon or immediately bail out. And it looks like he is going to go get that lamp. Of course, he is quite a few dungeons behind at this point, so it's going to take a bit of a miracle for him to make up that lost time, as Dunham grabs his last key to go take on Trinex and get his last crystal before heading into G-Tower.
Definitely a little bit behind, but certainly, as Rando has taught us anything, it is not over, and until it is over, so we will see what happens.
And another unfortunate death from that anti-fairy. The thing is, like, his magic was so low that he couldn't powder it. Yeah, those antifairies, they always do a full heart of damage regardless of what melee you're holding on to. And I feel like a lot of players are, used to using the Can of Samaria to get through this room, to hit the blocks, so having to route it slightly differently can be a little confusing.
Good news is he's going to pick up a full magic container as he walks in here, so I wonder if maybe he'll go back and powder the anti-fairy, but of course that will take away from his magic, but he's not going to do that. He's going to go right ahead on in and take on Trinex. Again, Tempered Sword. So he's in a pretty good space. He just has to watch his magic as he fights Trinex here.
All right, Firehead down, moving on to the Ice Head, while Pokedude is grabbing his lamp at 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's a pretty late lamp.
I gotta say, it's not the first, second, or even 10th time I've seen lamp this late. I don't know, maybe V29's got it out for lamp.
I mean, it wasn't Mimicave lamp, but just based on where the sword locations were, it's pretty brutal options. Dunham's got to be a little... Did you get to finish my statement? I'm sorry.
That's it. Someone get Willard out of here.
I'm sorry. Let me just step away until he does this fight.
Good news is the walk back to Trinex is not that long. You still do get your full magic container fill at the prior to the bridge to Can of Samaria, and so that's the good news for him. He's going to go back into that fight fairly similar to how he entered the first time.
Right, now Pokedude can go back and finish off Pod, finish off Eastern. Gonna take advantage of these fairy caves a little bit more, just to get geared up. Yeah, the reason a lot of players do Fire Head first is just because that's the first head that becomes tangible, since it's the first one that starts moving. And if you're quick enough, you can usually kill the Fire Head before the Ice Head has a chance to fire the Ice Floor. And Dunham sitting at half a heart. He's a one-hit KO. He's got to be extra careful here.
Yeah, half a heart, and he had one more shot of that fire rod left. So he's keeping us at the edge of our seats here. Hopefully he's going to go ahead and pull it off. And oh no, another death to Trinex. But again, always looking for that silver lining. Not that far away from going back into that fight.
I blame the Ice Floor for that one. Oh, I didn't even realize that. Wait a minute. Wait. Never mind. I was confused. I was confused about something that was going on Pokedude's side. But never mind. Alright, third time's a charm. This is the one.
And the nice thing now is that he not only gets a full magic fill-up, but he's also sitting pretty with almost every single one of his hearts at the ready to go. So I have a good feeling for Dunham on this one.
All right, here we go. It's got plenty of health for this. Oh,
Down
nice.
he goes.
Is that a double spin?
Yeah, I think he did that double spin.
Third time's the charm. All right, guys. It's that time. We've got 22 chests coming up for you in the Ganon's Tower, and one of those chests is going to be holding the Ganon's Tower Big Key. Get your guesses in chat if you really feel like it. Yeah. Where do you think it's going to be?
I always go with good old 14. See someone in chat has already taken 14, but I'm going 14. That is the one I usually go with. What about you?
Man, I don't know. Let's just shoot for something after Ice Armos. I feel like most players go for like the safer route, where they do the 2 chests on the right. If they get a small key, they do full right, or at least to the compass room. If they don't, then they go full left to Ice Armos. So.
It looks like Dunham's doing right side, hoping, finds the key, he's going to keep going. If he gets the big 20, he also gets another big 20, so he'll be making his way to the left side.
Double big 20.
See if Bob makes it through the day, and another big 20. This is like Ganon Tower big 20 day.
We get more big 20s. I want at least like one more big 20 in the Stalfos room. Make it happen.
All right, well, Pokedude on the left side there is going through the dark maze. Not so dark anymore, which would be nice for him. And he's making his way ever closer to getting through Palace of Darkness, and then likely going to mirror out and do Eastern Palace. And I believe that was number 5 or 6. If chat can help me out on that one, I'm not quite sure if that was 5 or 6. All right, 6 gets it. So if you guessed 6, good guess.
Just like that? That was easy. What a very friendly G-Tower.
Maybe the seed is trying to make amends.
I would say so, especially with the Silver Arrows location, since T-Rock is one of those dungeons you generally full clear even in Go mode. Especially if you get a vanilla big key, so. Now, if they had put silvers in, like, Mimic Cave, then that would have just been me. Yeah, we got Pokedude comfortably making his way through Palace of Darkness, grabbing his big key. He is in Go mode, but I'm sure he's still probably going to full clear all these dungeons looking for a sword upgrade and silvers. I wouldn't blame him.
Yeah, having those silvers, again, would be really helpful for him. And so we'll see what he does if he continues to full clear as Dunham makes his way to the gauntlet and up Ganon's Tower to Aghanim 2.
Oh, nice silver arrow shot right down the middle. Good work. One of the things that I tend to do when I play through the gauntlet, if I have silvers, I'll often switch to single arrow or non-silvers, just because of the amount of lag that the silver arrows create, especially in these rooms with tons of enemies. Of course, for these red horse heads, you got to use 2 arrows or 1 silver to take them out. So the silvers do kind of come in handy in those situations. But yeah, pretty good gauntlet from Dunham getting through. Let's see how his Landlord's 2 fight goes.
He's getting those silvers out, hoping a 0 cycle here, but it's tough when you powder that. I'm not quite sure what to call it. I think it's the most fairy, something to that effect. It puts the progression of the landmos in this Ganon's tower a little bit off. So did a nice job to dispose of those first 2, but the third one's giving a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, I think in this kind of situation, you just either switch to Fire Rod or go for Tempered Sword spins, since it's 2 spins to take them down, each landmole down. But yeah, Dunham has to be careful. There is a 5 arrow pot right there, so he's going to be back up to 10 arrows, which is plenty to get him through this Ganon fight. He doesn't actually need to use any more for the rest of the gauntlet.
These Wizrobe rooms are really neat. I enjoy them a lot in Ganon's tower, but looks like Dunham's going to take the first 2 out and just go ahead and slash that last one.
I still remember the first time I learned about using Kana Samaria in these rooms. It's so fun to go back and I need to sit down and go back and watch my first ever randomizer run, which was it took me 4 hours. Of course, a lot of that is just not knowing where all the items were. I don't know what the heck rando room is. What's that? Where is that? Why should I know what that is? Yeah, that was one of the cooler things, is the use of Kana Samaria. So it's always weird when you get a seed that's not Kana Samaria required. You're like, how do I deal with these Wizrobes? What do I do? Oh, he's going to have to move quickly if he wants to make this cycle.
Oh, just misses it.
He's got to be especially careful. This is not a place where you want to take a death. And Pokedude takes one for the team, drops down against Helmet. He does have a fairy in hand. I believe he has a few of them, so he should be fine. Dunham has to be extremely careful in this room. One misstep and it's a laser to the face, and right now a laser does 3 hearts of damage, so gets through just in time.
So imagine as we watch Dunham make his way toward Aghanim 2, you're going to see him checking these last few chests. I would imagine, oh, maybe not. I mean, some people will check him to see if they'll get Gold Sword, but looks like he's comfortable enough just to continue on.
Yeah, the only thing I'd be looking for would be a healing item, but he has powders, so he can just powder the fairies in the next room. Having a little bit of trouble bombing this wall here. Normally what you could do is you just walk straight out from the door, pick up a bomb, turn left, wait a few seconds, and then toss it straight down. And it usually will line up perfectly with the bomb wall, but he's got to be especially careful. He's going to have to switch. He's got to remember that that cape has a little bit of a lag when you first switch to it before you can actually use it. So if he was at half a heart, this would have been another trip up the gauntlet, which I don't think any of us want to see that happen.
No, that would have been a really tragic death. To have taken a death there would have been tragic, especially since it's a huge time commitment to make your way back up.
Unfortunately, taking the fall from Molern too. It looked like he was pretty good set up in the corner there, not to get knocked down, but sometimes Molern will fancy himself a way to just bop you right on top of the noggin and just completely dodge your sword, and all of a sudden you're falling down that hole.
Well, as Dunham takes down Moldorm 2, Pokedude took down Helmasaur King and is now going into Eastern to take care of the Armos, as Dunham gets that last chest to $10 for his trouble.
I believe that was a $5. I'm sure he was looking for... Well, actually, I don't know. He might have wanted red mail, gold sword. I think we're still missing one of the potions, so it could have even been like a blue goo or a fairy. At this point, the way the seed's been playing out, it's just like, whatever, man. Just let me get out of here. Yeah, fortunate timing on that phase. Looked like he hit him with the two of them at the same time, so it probably only counted as one. And there he goes. Pattern's not really... Those are pretty good patterns overall, but yeah, when you toss in a blue ball there and that's like the first thing that hits you, then all of a sudden you just miss everything else. It's really frustrating.
Good decision by Dunham to go, and looks like he's going to probably flute for some potions after, warping into the light world for his final fight against Ganon, as he makes his way into, or close to, the Armos fight. I think he was letting Link get some exercise before he realized he had the flute to get over to 2.
Yeah, it's an easy mistake to make. It's same with, like, if you get... Sometimes you just completely forget you have the boots. And you're just walking your way through, like, no big deal. Alright, well, Dunham going to be heading into the Ganon fight. Tempered Sword in hand. It's just going to be 12 hits on the first phase, 12 hits on the second phase, and then 4 hits for phase 4, and then 4 silvers to call it a day. Depending on what potion he picked up, as well as that cape, he could even opt to use the cape to kind of get some free hits without having to worry about taking damage. Nice getting these double spins along the wall here. That trident out for blood. Gonna have to be a little bit careful here. Yeah, right now this is not a very friendly pattern. I would, assuming he picked up a blue or green goo, I'd be sitting there with cape right now and just getting that double hits against the wall.
Well, and he has the hook shot out too to take. Oh, jeez! I was gonna say he had the hook shot out to take care of those frames when the bats came at him, so that they wouldn't give him any damage. But unfortunately, it looks like he's gonna have to restart this fight.
Yeah, and Ganon even gave him a very friendly pattern when he's up at the top left or top right. If you position yourself correctly, you can just sit there and double spin on him without having to worry about the fire bats hitting you. Until they start, like, breaking apart. The initial circle, so. And it looks like Pokedude's running around, grabbing a few extra spots to check, still looking for Tempered Sword and Silvers. Though he doesn't know that those items that he wants are just along the way in the next couple dungeons he needs to do. Oh, wow. Just barely getting that off in time.
Yeah, that was a close cape execution there, but he got it, which is good. So hopefully he can get into phase 3 fairly soon. I think a few more hits should do it. I wasn't keeping count, but I think you should be fairly close to this point.
Oh man, just barely threading the needle there with that one. And that's going to be phase 3. And fortunately for them, I think these fire bats only do maybe 1.5 hearts of damage to him. They normally do 2 hearts with green mail. Or maybe it's always consistently 2. I don't know.
All right, we're headed to phase 4. And I would imagine that Dunham's got the lamp out. He's going to try to get that lamp glitch. I've got to be careful that the bats don't knock him off.
Yeah, the nice thing about silver arrows is you don't really have to worry about getting the torch glitch at all. But that's 2 down, 2 arrows in Ganon. Just gotta light the torches, stun him, and hit him 2 more times, and that will be GG for Dunham. 1 more to go. Oh, that's painful. 1 more to go, and taking a death.
That was tough, but I mean, the nice thing, unbeknownst to him, but beknownst to us, he's got a good cushion for him as Pokedude is making his way back in a desert palace. Again, probably looking for sword upgrade, maybe the silver arrows.
Yeah, I'm confused because unless Pokedude is... You know, he might actually be going for pedestal. I'm pretty sure he is. I think he wants that half magic. Because why? He's already gotten the 2 items in here, so the only reason he'd be in here would be to kill landmolls, but he may have forgotten that he'd already gotten the 2 items in this dungeon and is just full clearing it again. Oh, yeah. Since he stole a key, he had to grab another one. And Dunham is... I don't know what he's doing. Dunham, what are you doing? Dunham, where are you going? This is not where Ganon is. This is very far away from the Ganon fight.
Yeah, I don't... Is he going for a tree pull? I'm not sure what he's doing.
You might be looking for arrows. Your best bet would be to go to the Dark World and buy arrows from the Curiosity Shop, which is one of those lesser-known locations in the game. I only really knew that it existed when I did Entrance Shuffle. It is in the Dark World. Just go 2 screens down from where he is right now, and you'll find a little shop there that sells, I believe it sells a gold bee, a fire shield, and 10 arrows.
Another option he has is he could go to Kakariko Village, I believe, to the hut in the bottom left where you can bomb the wall. There are bombs there and arrows there, but he did find an arrow drop, so it looks like he won't have to do any of that. Or he may. He may try to pad his arrow count just a little bit.
I do not know. I have no answers at this point.
I mean, at 10 arrows, I would think that Dunham's got more than enough to make some magic happen here at the Ganon fight, so...
Yeah, I'd be pretty cozy with 10 arrows. It's a little dicey when you have, like, only 5, and you're going for, like, the doubles, and you miss one, and all of a sudden, like, you only have 3, but you don't realize that, and you go for another double, and you miss one, and all of a sudden, you have to finish them off with silverless strats. That's never happened to me in a race ever, except for a couple times. Yeah, I am 100% convinced that Pokedude is going to be going for that half magic on pedestal.
Yeah, which he now has access to, having beaten Landmolus, so he's going to go for that half magic, and then she'll put him in a good space for Misery Mire, if you want to use the cape on Vitreous, and put you in good space for Trianex, so, you know, not a bad move. Probably sees that his opponent hasn't hit the done button yet, so he may be thinking that he's a little bit better position than he's in right now.
Yeah, that's one of the less, I don't know, I guess it depends, but for me it's one of the like less appealing things about racing randomizers, not knowing where your opponent is. Because like, you know, you could be feeling good about yourself, you're sitting at like finishing the seat at like a 135, you're at that Ganon fanfare, you're just standing there waiting so you can walk up, and then all of a sudden your opponent done, so you're like, Oh, all right. Well then. I stand corrected. Or you're heading up G Tower feeling pretty good and someone finishes and you're like, how? How did they do that? So yeah, the not knowing definitely makes tournament racing or just racing in general pretty stressful.
Well, and as we mentioned, at the beginning of this seed, there's so many new runners in here that you may not know very well your runners, your opponent's style. So that that also puts an extra variant into this. And here we go with Pokedude pulling that pedestal, getting that pulling the pedestal and getting half magic.
Yeah, and Dunham is heading into phase 4. Yeah, that is the thing. Is like, for previous tournaments, most of the players have already competed on speedruns live, so you kind of have an idea of what their skill level is at, what their average times are. But a lot of these new runners, since we're not using SRL, are brand new, so you don't really have anything to base it off of. But Dunham does take down Ganon, finishing right around the 245 range. So GG's to him. Once he heads through that door, he will be our winner of this match, and we'll be moving on at 1-1 to face his round 3 opponent next week, who will also be at 1-1.
Yes, GG to Dunham for completion of the seed that was at its nicest, incredibly mean. And I think that ending message, the I'm sorry starting out on its own screen, I think I should just have put a period there, and that's it.
I just wanted to say, my bad. This one's on me, is what Triforce should say.
Well, and Dunham is finishing on Speed Racing TV with an official time of 2:45.58 GG to Dunham.
Jeez. Let's see if Dunham wants to hop in and chit-chat about this this doozy of a seed. I'm sure he's pretty ecstatic to walk away with that win. Fortunately, that means Pokedude will be falling to 0-2. Of course, he still is in the running to make it into the bracket stages. Anyone that's 0-2 can somehow, if they can somehow win out and go 5-2, can make it in the brackets. You never want to doubt any, miracles can happen. Let's see. Well, let's see if Dunham wants to come in and chit-chat with us.
All right, so we're going to see if Dunham wants to come in and have a nice little therapy session after that. Seed and Pokedude is making his way through Misery Mire. And so both runners have done a fantastic job this entire seed. A seed that, again, at its best, has been incredibly mean and has sent them really just running around everywhere to find items that they need to progress.
Yeah, I gotta say that was one of the more interesting starts to a seed. And just everything being gated by that flute for the most part, so shouts to Dunham taking that sequence break that kind of really opened up the seed for him. He's like, no. The seed wants me to do this. I'm gonna do it myself. I don't need the seed to tell me anything.
Pokedude picking up that clutch fairy drop just in the nick of time before he got taken down, so that was good. And continuing to make his way deeper into Misery Mire.
And we do have Dunham with us in the voice channel. What's up? How you feeling about that seed?
Can I get a sword early on?
No. You have to wait an hour for your swords. Sorry. These are the rules of V29.
No, both of them both races I started with Canis Samaria, and both races it took forever to get a sword.
That's just that, now you're like an expert of Escape Canis Samaria, right? Pretty close?
I think so.
Novice, maybe?
I'll go with maybe right above novice, the intermediate.
Right above novice, like halfway up the skill bar. I will take it. Yeah, this seed was extremely interesting, and who would have thought that the seed wanted you to get the flute? How often does the seed want you to get the first item in the back half of Skull Woods without a sword? But it's so rare, so you really opened up the seed for yourself by finally taking that dive up Death Mountain, sequence breaking to go up Death Mountain and getting, hammered, flippers, boots, not a sword, but the ability to get a sword.
I think once I cleared Death Mountain and I was just like, there's still no sword. But I actually think sequence breaking hurt me more than it helped.
How do you figure? I mean, the thing is, the only thing that the flute led to was obviously to get to Mire, which was a required dungeon. And, of course, that could have led to your first sword if you'd gone there, since that was, Temper Sword was for you. Yeah.
Well, I could. The big thing is I put off getting the ether until like right when I needed it. I actually forgot where it was for the longest time.
Okay, we were wondering. The other thing I'm wondering about is if you could stop your timer.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Quick question for Dunham. I had written this down early on. We noticed that when the seed was sort of funneling you and it was running out of places to go, we noticed you entered the Hyrule Castle, kind of started heading for Aghanim, used your Cane of Burna. What were you thinking of doing at that point? Imagining that you could make it into Aghanim.
I just wanted to get to right side Dark World. And I completely forgot that you can't get in with Burna, so. But like my whole thought plan there was to get to right side, and hopefully there was something there since I really didn't have a way to right side yet.
Yeah, there weren't really any easy ways to get there. It was funny that both the hammer and the flippers, which are both options, both ways to get to East Dark World, were on Death Mountain. So.
Did I do Bond Rocks?
You did that first because we were wondering if because you went after you finished Death Mountain. I think you saved and quit, and then went west. Did Bonk Rocks, but didn't do King's Tomb right away. It was a shield.
Yeah,
I remember that. But yeah, this was a crazy seed. Both you guys seem to have. It was a little bit of a struggle at the beginning, without swords. Like, Thieves Town was rough. Skullwoods, we don't even have to talk about. That dungeon's just bad.
I did it last time with the fighter swords, so.
Yeah, and then just the fact that two of the swords, we haven't even seen the fourth sword yet, but two of the swords were gated by dungeons that you need the lamp to successfully complete. By logic, but of course. So the game wants you to either double dip Mire or double dip Pod.
Yeah, I'm about to go back and learn how to do that stupid room in the dark now.
I will say the dark maze is a lot easier if you do it from the big chest. So while you're learning that, go ahead and learn the hammer jump too. Just so, just knock both of those out. That's probably too much.
It's not too bad. Luckily, since I used to run the game way back, if I had it, I was really mad that I didn't get to go to Ice Palace. I actually like Ice Palace.
Well, you didn't miss much. Your opponent actually went ahead and did all the pendant dungeons and got the half magic off the pedestal. Cold Stare, Ice Palace had rupees, and Sahasrara had rupees, so didn't miss out on much.
I mean, I was really hoping when I went to the pedestal, it was a pedestal seed. Really wanted it.
Just cause?
I mean, why not?
Oh,
it was showing me enough already.
I personally would have loved to have had this as my tournament seed. This one would have been really interesting to play through. And we were being, by co-commentator, we're actually talking about, imagine if you had immediately gone up to Death Mountain right after Kakariko, after you got the hookshot glove, immediately sequence probe, how open the seed would have been right from the get-go. Of course, you would have missed the Dark World stuff, but you would have had Hammer. I think you would have just had Hammer. So
I got Flute and I'm trying to think. Yeah, so Flute was pretty much required to get Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god. I'm just trying to reprocess everything since I think I went in every single cave except for Mimic Cave, and the only two outer world locations I did was Mimic Cave and Spike Cave that I didn't finish.
Yeah, I feel like, did you take a death in Spike Cave? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I died and said I'm not going back.
Okay. Well, that was a good call. The end game was actually really friendly, giving you a tempered sword in Mire, and then silvers in the big chest of T-Rock.
That
and
made my
then
day. Because,
GT big key really early, so
the only thing I was hoping for off of the big chest was a key. I just wanted a small key.
yeah, so you didn't have to do stupid laser bridge, but instead you got silvers and got to do stupid laser bridge. The Trinex fight was also a little dicey. What are your thoughts on that boss?
I think I'm making it harder than it needs to be. I don't even know what I'm thinking half the time when I get hit in that fight, because there's really no to get hit.
I would definitely suggest for the second phase to try get the first spin, or if you can get the double spin when he's first coming out, but then just switch to slashes, because like trying to get spins on the second phase is the amount of knockback you get from that just makes it kind of obnoxious, and especially when you have ice on the ground, because that's what caused, I think, your second death, is you spun and knocked you into the ice, and then you kind of just shuffleboard, try to get away, but it wasn't enough.
I think because right when I hit the ice, it stopped all my momentum, because I was like on the ice but not on the ice.
Yeah, right on the edge of it.
Yeah, it was like I was on a ledge, so I couldn't, force myself to move quickly.
But yeah, other than some a lot of rough deaths in a lot of these dungeons, like Thieves Town was extremely costly, just because you had to essentially go all the way back down and grab blind again, bring it back up, and then the Mothula deaths, some overworld deaths, which also are extremely costly, because you die in the overworld, then you have to start back at the beginning. Like the one on the way to, I think it was the one on the way to King's Tomb, where you walked into a tree and then got bopped by a Hinox.
Yep.
It was pretty brutal. Other than those, how do you feel just in general about your playstyle? Are you feeling a little bit more or less confident going into round 3, where there are a lot of really... I feel like of all the, since the 1-in-1s are the largest group so far, that the balance of skill level is going to be tremendous. How are you feeling about going into round 3?
I think my thought process is okay right now. It's not the greatest, because I did, I probably should have sequence broke, but I think as far as just like knowing where to go or where I can go right away, just knock out like simple things to see better. I know my eastern side of the dark world or light world routing was kind of off. I should have probably saved a little bit of it for dark world as well. But I think just with a little practice on it, maybe go learn how to do fighter sword stuff. And it was interesting because you decided to go ahead and full clear. You had dark world access relatively soon, but then still went ahead and did all of the eastern stuff, Mushroom, Zora. You did do the fake flipper stuff for Waterfall Cave and Zora. So you did sequence break, mister. Yeah, there was
but then
there,
also going over to check Desert was an interesting choice, since you can, a lot of times if you have Dark World access, you can try and put that off, but who knows, if Agonist Cave had the hammer, then the seed would have played out a little bit differently, so.
That was mostly, I wanted to find a sword or some kind of actual weapon before going into Dark World. So I wanted to search everywhere I could before going in there.
That's a very, very fair point. Well, GG's to you. Got any final words, or if my co-commentator has any final questions?
One of the things we were talking about, Willard, was, and for you, Dunham, is, you're hitting 2 hours, 2 hours 15, 2 hours 30, and you're periodically looking at that race chat and wondering, what's going on. What are your thoughts as you enter a seed, of course, this brutal, that late in the game? Do you feel like my opponent might be ahead? Do you think my opponent might be kind of hitting the same hardships? Where does your thought process really go at that point?
This one, I kind of started thinking he's hitting the same hardship since it took forever to find the sword. But a lot of the time when it's like this late, I'm thinking, I honestly think it's a closer race. Because if it's both going on that long, obviously we both hit some kind of obstacle.
Right. And the last question I have, and then certainly you're free to go or stick around. We're still watching Pokedude using Molecule right now. But one of the questions I always like to ask runners is, every seed we do, we learn something. We learn to do something differently. What's one thing that you've learned that you'd like to do differently, or learned this seed that you'll do for the next one?
Probably go Dark World a lot sooner, like as soon as I get Dark World access, and instead of goofing around or just sequence breaking, as soon as I have like enough of the items, because I definitely should have gone to Death Mountain as soon as I could have.
Yeah, that's certainly a great lesson from the seed, and the balance between Light World, Dark World, Dungeon, and Overworld is something that I think every racer tries to hit that balance. So certainly something great that you took away from the seed. GG again from me and from Willard, I'm sure, and from the community here. A difficult, a mean, a tough seed, but it did very well. GG.
Thank you, and thank you guys for the restream, and thanks for the commentary.
Of course. Alrighty, so Pokedude still has to go finish Turtle Rock and then finish G-Town. Keep going until we're booted off of this. We do have another race coming up on the schedule at the top of the hour, so in roughly 3 minutes, we'll be seeing Gaming with a Wraith versus Shadow B5. So we'll stick around until we get the go-ahead to go ahead. But yeah, this has been a pretty wild seed, a wild ride. Just want to give kudos to both these players for sticking it out. This hasn't been a very easy seed, and one of the things about that I pride myself with this community is that we're very welcoming of people of all skill levels, people that are just starting out, and we want to, of course, be as supportive as possible and help everyone get better. Because when everybody's like top tier, then the competition is fiercer. The fight for that, the spot in the brackets become even more crazy, and it's always fun to watch other players grow. Because we all started at a place, we all started from scratch. I've been playing this randomizer for a year now, and like I was talking about earlier, I'd love to go back and watch my first race or watch my first run through and just be like, what am I doing? What's going on in my head right now? So yeah, GG's to both these runners for putting on a great show. This was a treat to commentate.
Yeah, and I would echo what you said, Willard, in that the community is incredibly welcoming, and a lot of people look at these and think, and I myself included, when you start watching these, I can't do this, or this is intimidating to me. Jump in, try. I mean, just go ahead and do it, because you really form a lot of close bonds with people. They are always happy to help you and give you advice, and always happy to help to give you, pointers to grow, and the only way you get better is just doing it. And sometimes seeds like this are actually really good for runners because it stretches them and it makes them really grow as runners in the community. So excellent community, get joined, and again, both these runners, as Willard said, did a really nice job, and Pokedude continues to do a nice job as he heads into T-Rock. Yeah,
it looks like regardless, he is going to finish this one out, so good for him. And another thing I want to just point out is that one of the best ways, and one of the ways that I learned how to just route better and move better and do everything, is ask questions, watch other people's streams, bug people, be like, hey man, how did you do that? Help me with that. Download the practice hack, play that a ton. You have the ability to set yourself up so you have to do Fire Sword, Hammer, Cold Stare, certain situations like that. And get to know each other. I mean, one of my fondest memories of I went to AGDQ, which we had the Link to the Past randomizer race between Chris and Andy, which I got to commentate. But one of my which was an amazing moment. But one of my favorite moments was one of the nights I was just hanging out. It was like 4 a.m, just chilling with a bunch of people from the community. We were just passing a Super Nintendo controller around and just doing boss fights and just doing different strats and be like, hey, how'd you do that? Oh, it's easy. Let me just show you. It was incredible. So. Yeah.
Something really neat that I've noticed too with this particular game is that this community has an awesome mix of people who grew up on this game and people who have never even played the vanilla version of the game. And so you really have a nice generational bridge between people of all ages who are brought together by a game, put together skillfully and lovingly by a wonderful team of people. So, great community, great, unifier. And I'm going to stop waxing poetic and get back to the commentary.
I mean, but the thing is, the other thing I want to point out is just like, a lot, like I grew up playing this game, but I also from watching GDQ was fond of watching the speedruns of like the vanilla game. And I kept on looking at it, I was like, I really want to learn the vanilla game, but I'm not good enough at the game. So I was like, I know, I'll play the randomizer. And, as long as you're just playing the game, you're getting better at the game, regardless of what version you're playing. If you're still playing on the English version, reading all the great text and going through the crystal cutscenes, as long as you're playing the game, you're always getting better. Unless you're bad. But then you're just getting less bad.
Wise words.
It's true though. But anyway, Pokedude, I guess away through Turtle Rock, he's going to be very happy to find his silver arrows coming up in the big chest. That's the other thing about Turtle Rock is it's like you want to go mode this dungeon, but when the big key is in the vanilla chest, you might get to skip one chest, and it depending on how you route Laser Bridge too. If you go like back to front or front to back, or wherever that small key is.
Right.
It's rare that you get to actually like go mode this dungeon, unless you're playing like Key Sanity or something.
And the good news is for Pokedude, he is stacked. I mean, he's got half magic, he's got tempered sword, he's got 3 bottles to work with, and he's in really good shape for this dungeon. So I think he is, going to make pretty quick work of it once, and once he finds his silvers, as you said, he's going to be incredibly happy.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where the gold sword and where the red mail are sitting in this seed. At this point, I would presumably put them within Ganon's Tower, since I believe Pokedude has full cleared the entire game outside of T-Rock and G-Tower.
Well, of course, there were those 2 chests in the mini Helmasaur room in Ganon's Tower that Dunham skipped over, so very well could have been there. So it'd be interesting to see if Pokedude does open them in hopes of maybe a gold sword.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we probably will not get to see that. But hopefully we get to see him finish out Turtle Rock. He might even check... He might even check Mimic Cave. We might get to see Mimic Cave. Yeah, that's the last thing you want to do is get hit by those lasers. Never turn around in that room, ever.
Yeah, not only that, but you don't even have the exit to respawn if you die. You'd go right back to the beginning of that dungeon.
Oh, coming up, we do get that Mimic Cave check.
All right, Willard, what do you think's in here? What do you think Mimic Cave has got for us today?
Big 20. We're also still looking for that last bottle. Oh, wow, there's the red mail. How nice. He's probably pretty happy to see that.
Would have been certainly a nice safety for Dunham to have gotten, but, he did just fine without it. But, it was nice. It was right there. Could have picked it up, I suppose.
Yeah, he did everything he needed to get the win, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And it's also going to save him some time on the Trinex fight, being able to take a few extra hits along the way. There's also that one chest on Laser Bridge that might have something, but I think it has a compass or a map, just based on how I remember seeing Dunham's menu count or inventory.
It's like he's going for that extra magic pickup. The extra hard pickup, sorry. I thought that was a magic pickup. Not a bad idea. Of course, you're going through those fire bars, so having the extra health always is beneficial.
Yeah, he'll probably use the safety door as well. Or he does have half magic and Burna, so he don't need no safety door. He got this. I think he's going for 100%. He's gonna try and get that. He's gonna try and get that 216. I tell you what.
At this point, why not? You show that see who's boss. You compete.
The other day I did a casual race with a bunch of buds. That was a 216 race. Of course, the Swamp Palace Big Key was locked in Swamp Palace Big Chest, so it had to be a 215 race. But at the same time, it was really stupid.
216 tarnished by Swamp Palace. It would be.
I know, right? You need to Vitor. You need to toggle that off so that we can make it so that we can get a 216. Come on! Think about it.
Well, Pokedude warped into the light world, got a couple of fairies for his troubles, and that was a good idea. Going in with full health will be really nice to have with the Trinex fight. All right, well stacked. Pokedude goes into the Trinex fight. Hoping to make quick work. He is going for the Ice Head first, and that's nice because he won't have to compete with the Ice Floor at that point.
Plenty of magic, plenty of health. Red Mail, take a couple hits. Trinex, no big deal. Easy in the bag. Having a little bit of trouble because Trinex likes to do these little side steps to make you miss. And there he goes.
And there's the 7th crystal. A lot of respect for Pokedude. We're over the 3-hour mark, just really doing a fantastic job to finish this one out. And again, it's never you always look at a seed this long, even if you've lost a race, is always a good opportunity to practice. And whether you're practicing a dungeon or you're practicing progression and keeping in logic and things like that, it's always, I always err on the side of trying to finish unless you're completely lost. So, and after 3 hours, you have to be exhausted.
Yeah, 3 hours is a long time to play the same game. I know for a fact just from playing, like an entrance shuffle or, something, or even key sanity seeds, like getting into like the 2 hours and 30-minute mark, and I'm like, why? I don't want to finish this. Please, somebody save me. But it looks like Pokedude is going to be making the same route. I'm wondering if he's going to opt to go ahead and keep checking stuff, looking for a gold sword, or if he's going to get that big key and head right on upstairs.
This close to the end, you got to imagine that he wants to find that big key and get upstairs. But again, it could be that at this point he also knows that keep checking, you'll find perhaps a gold sword, make the end game a lot, at least a little bit easier.
Well, it looks like he's good to go.
I believe he hasn't used his fairy, and he hasn't used, if he has a potion, he hasn't used it yet, so he's well equipped. Always quite difficult to set up those Igors for the, as you saw Pokedude trying to set up those Igors to walk toward him so that he can Silver Arrow them. It can be quite difficult, especially in the BMOS room, but he did a nice job, and he's continuing to make his way up Ganon's tower.
I'm gonna take advantage of this little safety door right here. Gonna get some fairies and magic back to full.
One of the nice things to do in that room, I think one of the things I learned a little bit later, is if one of the cannonballs knocks you off, you can use those iframes just to kind of sprint right through them, especially with the boots, which is a nice strategy to use.
That used to be like what I'd always do every time. I would always intentionally just fall off right at the beginning, just get iframes and dash across. But since I've been doing like NMG, I would always just try and dash half of it and then walk the rest of the way through, just trying to dodge the cannonballs, because you don't really have the option to just have, just throw hearts away in an NMG run sometimes. But getting through these rooms pretty well. A lot of times you'll see runners use one of their many medallions to take out these enemies if they get particularly obnoxious and running around, running circles on you with these conveyor belts.
And he does have that option to use Fire Rod, but he is going to go ahead and go for Bombos.
Yeah, if I'm playing through this and I have half magic, I'll usually switch over and do Fire Rod through the gauntlet here. Especially because it takes out the Stalfos like instantly. Like it one-shots all the enemies, but with the Stalfos, they die instant. They don't have that burning animation.
And in that last room too, when you fire the Fire Rod downward, southbound, that gets the Stalfos, it walks right into it, and it bounces into it, so that's also a nice little bonus.
Alright, well, I assume at this point we're just going to be sticking it out for the rest of this run. Pokedude is almost at the end. He just has a couple more rooms to finish out. He's got Moldarm 2, and then he's got Aga 2, and then he's got Ganon. And as long as he doesn't take any unfortunate deaths along the way here, he should be able to retain his potions, if he has any, or his fairies, which I'm sure he has plenty of.
And with that half magic, he'll have a much easier time again, and he'll be able to use his cape strats there to take care of him, and almost getting that one cycle Wizrobe room, which is really nice.
Just a couple of rooms left to go. Let's see if he opts to check these two chests here. Oh, and he gets pinged by the fireball. Fall back down. Just gotta walk back up, light those torches again. Try once more.
At this point, I'm thinking he's gonna open those two chests just to see, at this point for curiosity's sake.
Do it! Do it! He's doing it! Small key. One more to go. I don't remember if Dunham opened this chest coming up.
He did, if I remember correctly. I think it was a piece of heart, but I could be wrong. He definitely did open it. I don't remember what it was. I think it was a piece of heart.
Well, this might just be enough to get him an extra heart container. Wow, alright. Doesn't even grab the magic. Okay, I'm like, what's he doing? Go grab that magic. That was weird. I wonder if that might have been a mistake, because sometimes those doors will just kind of like grab you in a sense and just suck you right through the door. Oh, please don't save and quit.
Oh boy, that was close.
Oh gosh. Not right now. Not while you're this close.
That's on the plan of like accidentally mirroring out of a dungeon.
Oh, for sure. I know I've seen people accidentally like mirror when they think they have bombs out. I've seen that happen a few times. Yeah. If you're in the tourney Discord and you want to play any of these seeds, you could always ask one of the players if they're willing to relinquish this monstrosity over to you.
It's like releasing the Kraken with this one.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, Pokedude not getting the right angles on these energy balls. Gonna add a few extra phases to this fight.
Yeah, Aghanim 2 is definitely a masterclass in geometry, and for someone who is not math focused like myself, it could be quite frustrating.
And a lot of times you see players kind of step back or step forward to try and like make sure that the energy balls like get as close to you as possible, but still that you can get a good lineup. Or you'll see people use like spins to ensure that you get the right angle as well.
All right, well, we had our ups, we had our downs, we had our smiles, laughter, and tears, and blood and sweat along with it, but we are finally at the Ganon fight.
Curious to see if Pokedude's gonna go fly off and grab a refill or not. Oh boy, he's ready. All right, guys, send Pokedude your energy. Let's see him finish this one out strong. Based on the SRTV time, we are... Oh, I don't even see how far into the race we are. Never mind. We'll find out. This might be sub 3 hours. No, I'm kidding.
For a seed like this, above 3 hours is not something that is a bad thing. All right, phase 3. He's got cape, he's got blue goo, he's got plenty of arrows. You know, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to curse anybody. So I think he's
got this in the bag. I think he's going to get it first try. You could do it, Poke. There's one.
3 away from a GG.
Finish out strong. You can do this, man. There's two more to go. Being extra careful. One more. Will this be the one? Switch to that lantern so he doesn't have to use another potion. Saving time. But now he's gonna have to either use a lantern or use a potion. Opt to use that blue potion to stop those awful beeping sounds.
All right, I think this is going to be it. This is going to be the last arrow shot for Pokedude. He's going to do it right here.
There it is! He did it! It's over. This horrible seed can now burn in the fiery pits of, what would be good? You know, there isn't really like a shadow temple kind of, or like a hellish temple in Link to the Past. I guess Turtle Rock would be it, because it's got lava. The fiery pits of Turtle Rock. All right, good. Nailed it. But yeah, Pokedude14 finishes with a time of 3 hours, 27 minutes, and 56 seconds. Keep them GGs in chat.
GG's to Pokedude. And since we are approaching the end of our seed today, our fantastic 3 hours and a half together, I just want to remind you all to follow our fantastic 2 runners, Pokedude14 and Dunham, who have put on a fantastic show for you. So thank you to those runners.
Yeah, that was a good race. It was interesting opening. The middle grounds were kind of weird, and then the end was like once you hit that go mode and get your swords, then you're just off and running. So GG's to both of our runners for finishing out strong, and looking forward to seeing what else they can bring to the table in future rounds. I also want to give a shout out to all the people involved in this race, not only our runners, but of course to our and the commands have already been updated, so I don't actually remember who our tracker was, but thank you, kind stranger, whomever you are.
Our tracker was Cassidy Moen.
Shoutouts to you, and of course, shoutouts to my co-commentator. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and shoutouts to you.
Of course. Good times had by all. You guys enjoy the next race. Of course, unfortunately, because of the time slot, I'm not going to be able to get Pokedude in here to chit-chat about the seed, but you can certainly go bug him for that seed if you want to go play it, or not. Anyway, enjoy the next race. I've been Willa J. Bradley. Bye.
And I'm the Perfect Gamer. Have a good night, everyone.